Even when you lost, there's always a hope. Rise and fight.
Welcome everybody, and welcome to another day of BSL15 Asia playoffs. We are in day 2 of the Asia playoffs, and we've got quite a few exciting matches that are going to be underway here shortly to start getting towards the end of this playoff season. I am Machine, obviously, and joining me today is going to be my awesome co-commentator, Captain America himself. It's Nyokin. What's up,
Yeah,
Nyokin?
yeah, I'm back, man. I just warped in instant transmission like me and Gypsy do. I'm Goku, by the way, not Yamcha or whatever.
Not
And
Yamcha.
yeah, no,
Definitely not
definitely not
Yamcha.
Yamcha. That's Gypsy. But yeah, I'm excited for today's games. We get to see BusTerran versus Jedi finally, and from what you told me, I'm thinking he might be like the Chinese Terror, and Terror always
Yep.
has a lot of exciting games. But as I pointed out yesterday, the game that I'm most looking forward to seeing is actually the losers match. It's going to be Mihu versus LCYDH. And I stated that I really liked LCY's build on Overwatch specifically versus Mihu with the Reaver. Didn't transition into the mid and late game that well, but I think if he can fix that, we could see Mihu get eliminated because he already took a loss yesterday to DuGu.
Yeah, you think it could be a potential big upset, huh? This best
Yeah.
of one? Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time disagreeing with you there. LCYDH did look quite strong in prior matches, but yeah, I mean, he could be one of the first Protoss to actually try to go like Arbiter or Carrier late game instead of like more Storm Drop, which seems to be kind of the meta from these Chinese Protoss so far. So yeah, I'm a little interested for that matchup as well. I have been talking a lot about BusTerran because I've seen rather just so many proxy barracks play, and I mean he came out on top of his group. So even against Protoss, he was doing that double racks SCV pull and just killing off the Protoss's natural and main every time. So I'm kind of interested to see if maybe that can continue or if he's going to end up getting shut down. But he will be going up against a Zerg player here, Jedi, to kick things off. So let's hope the force is with Jedi. He's going to need it to stop this bus for sure.
Yeah. I was looking up BusTerran yesterday because I was like, who the heck is this guy? And he's on Liquipedia, and you know what it says? All it says is he's known for nuking Sai, which is a Chinese Zerg, apparently. I mean, what a Liquipedia that is, just nuking the hell out of somebody. So I'm hoping we can get past mid-game or early game, because we may get to see some epic nukes. And if you guys have not been to Reddit, there is a post about a nuke from Light. That's all I'll say about that, and it's epic to say the least. You should definitely check that out. But I hope we can get some nukes today if he's a guy that loves to go nuke.
I have not seen that, so I'm gonna have to check out that Light nuke later. Honestly, it sounds quite funny. But yeah, this is gonna be pretty cool. BusTerran, man, known for nuking people. That's kind of a scary thing to go up against. If you know your opponent's known for just like nuking the crap out of people, I would definitely be a little nervous. No one wants to be in your like highlight reel on Reddit, like...
Yeah, for sure. And nuke is actually not bad, especially versus Zerg. It's 10 supply basically. The ghost and the nuke combined is 9. You don't have to commit much to it, and Zerg has to pay a lot of attention to all their bases. It draws them to figure out where the dot is. Meanwhile, you don't even have to look at it. Whether it lands or not, it's probably worth simply drawing the Zerg's attention. And then if it does land, obviously it can deal a lot of damage. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, because based on what you're saying, I'm expecting this game to end within the first 10 minutes. Double racks versus Protoss, that may be the reason why I'm seeing so many people go Cannon after Nexus, because I guess BBS is becoming meta for killing off a 12 Nexus.
Yeah, it kind of honestly seems like it. He's the first you know, Terran player to really do it 2 games in a row against a Protoss and have it work both times. So, you know, I'd seen it on Eclipse and stuff like that as kind of a reaction to, you know, like 12 Nexuses or even like proxy single gateway. But I don't know, he did it, and he did it very decisively in the previous series, and it looked quite strong. So definitely interested to get this one underway here. And it does sound like we are ready. Vermeer will be map number 1 here, so let's go ahead and get into BusTerran versus Jedi game number 1. And spawning at the top left as that blue Terran, there he is. It's BusTerran.
And in the bottom left, our Zerg player, it is Jedi. You know, I've been seeing the word bus more and more often, not just here, but also on Korean streams. Like, a lot of times I see a reference to a bus whenever there's like a Pro League match or some type of sponsored match. And I'm not Korean, obviously, so I'm not sure exactly the meaning, but it seems like bus is like you get carried in your match. Like you get on the bus and you get carried to victory. So I wonder if bus is known for like Pro League format 4v4, like being an ace and like taking down multiple players, or if he just stumbled across this ID somehow.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting. I hadn't really thought of it that way, but you carry your entire team on the bus. Yeah. That's kind of funny, actually. Well, they are in Vermeer here. It's going to be close positions with that top left versus bottom left. What do you think of these positions for the matchup so far?
Well, Vermeer, a map that is, I haven't played very much, but I've seen a few games in ASL. As far as spawns, hello, top left seems like a jackpot spot for Terran because, as everybody knows, I'm a big fan of the wall. And with the double eggs there and how the SimCity's already being laid out, that's going to be a complete wall, I think, unless Lings can get through the top side, which I doubt. And that means that BusTerran, who's shown aggressive play in the earlier stages of BSL, well, he can get away with fast command center off of no Marines. He can go fast command center into gas and go like delayed mech. He can do all types of things that Zerg can't scout. So I'm loving spawns for Terran.
Yeah, can't scout and can't really, fold to any kind of early aggression. With that full wall off, right, there's little more Zerglings can do except just kind of poke at the wall, and while like repair is kind of being forced out here. Ooh, drone being trapped inside the main. Actually, but the very nicely done. Just kind of walls through with those. Down that command center at the natural here. Meanwhile, Jedi with that layer tech underway. Some Zerglings being forced out here to deny the scout inside the main. But as you mentioned, Nyokin, there's no way to really break this wall off for Zerg. So there's not like a whole lot of reason for Jedi to try to produce a whole many Zerglings at the moment.
Yeah, well, what I was watching during all this was gas timing for Bus, and this was either a 17 or 18 gas from him, something like that, and generally that's typical of factory play. He's approaching the 100 gas. I don't see an eBay anywhere. Oh my gosh, that's a almost completed academy. Actually, that's kind of a normal academy, even with no wall. Now, that's something interesting to note. Those Marines are popping out on the wrong side. If Zerg had built more Lings, those could be, a free 2 or 3 Marines that have popped out. And it also kind of gives away that, well, this is definitely not going to be mech because you're not building 5 Marines if you're going mech. But at the same time, it's a big building that just went down near the front of his ramp. I'm guessing that's a second barracks.
Yeah, I would guess so. I'm always afraid of this as a Zerg player whenever Terran can utilize this wall off and not force that bunker, right? Academy timings can be quite strong to defend as Zerg here. Just because no bunker is really forced, you can be as, economically greedy as a Terran player as possible. This is quite a bit of Zerglings forced out, though, from Jedi, and he's not really going to be able to get any kind of trade with it until Bus moves out. And once Bus moves out, I mean, he should have a pretty comfortable amount of Marine Medic to deal with this.
Well, I thought that this was going to be a quick attack from Bus, but he's just hanging around, and he's going into 3 barracks. Range is going to be coming in pretty soon, so he's not going to be well, I mean, he might get out into the map, but honestly, if he was going to get aggressive trying to deny a 3rd base, well, the window has already closed because the mutas are being produced right now, and if he gets out onto the map, he could easily just get counterattacked. So this must be just passive play. If it's going to be passive play, it makes me a little bit surprised that it's going to be 3 barracks. Would have maybe expected to see a factory come in and just scale into your tech faster, but of course this is going to give him more production, obviously.
I'm a little surprised that you would go Academy first if it's going to be passive play, right? Like, why not get that eBay a little faster, get that +1 going a little quicker? But still, I'm sure he's got some plans.
Well, here he goes. He's going to move out with okay, maybe not. I thought he was going to move out with 12 Marines, 3 medics, which is a decent amount, but you can see the mutas are already here. And he's just barely no, he doesn't complete that turret. Look at that. Wow. 200 out of 200. This is such a tilter for Terran. Maybe Zerg isn't going to get much damage done, but that is so tilting to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, that could not be closer to completed. Now, you know, at least with that group of Zerglings, there is an entrance to this natural here. There might be a little hole to get some damage done for the Zerg player. That Hydrogen seemed quite early, but I think he canceled it and just remade it. A little bit of an interesting decision there from Jedi. And Jedi actually taking the 3rd at the natural bottom right. Kind of an interesting spot. Usually you see Zergs go for the main, just as it's a little easier to defend, but at least here it's going to be more difficult for BusTerran to scout. Factory is halfway complete, just about. Ooh.
Yep, and those mutas are doing a good job to whittle down the Marine Ball. And now it's at an amount where the Lings can also be comboed with the mutas. And this will be a good trade for Jedi. He almost kills all of it. Actually, he's going to kill all of it. And now BusTerran, is he dead? That's a forward bunker that's going to be canceled.
Yeah, this is not looking good here for BusTerran. Another medic going down as well. Zergling pulling back. You know, I'm kind of surprised to see the forward bunker, but, you know, we do see that Hydroden going down maybe slightly quicker than normal here. Bunker will barely manage to get up, but another SCV falling. This is 6 Hydra. You know, there's a lot of lurker potential here. 7.
Yeah, obviously Zerg players love to use the lurkers defensively, but if I was Zerg here and I had a trade like that, hello, I'd just be busting you with these 7 lurkers, and I would be building Lings right now. You know that not only is the bunker super forward, the Marine count got reset, and based on where those lurkers are morphing right now, this really does look like it's going to be a bust. I think the bunker positioning is actually kind of imperative that they're this far forward, and the reason I say that is if you ever get contained by lurkers when you're only going a single starport, I mean, you're never going to irradiate your way out of it. So I think that this is actually a good idea to put the bunkers a little far forward so you can actually escort some Marines maybe through the top side, because you can't get contained. If you get contained, you're probably never getting out. But here come those first 6 lurkers.
Yeah, 6 lurkers, no Zerglings though. And this is 2 bunkers. I don't really feel like Jedi can quite, you know, like bust with this amount of lurkers, but it's still going to be quite frustrating for Bus to end up moving out here. This is going to be factory play. We already have a single siege tank ready to try to start pushing these lurkers around a little bit. Science facility on the way as well. Jedi starting to drone heavily for the next phase of the game. We're down to 40 workers to the 46 of Bus.
And I love Jedi's position right now. I mean, that low ground natural, look at what it's done, Machine. He's got a 4th base building at 930. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is quite good, honestly. for a Zerg player. You really want to defend that 4th gas as quickly as possible. And I guess this is one of the advantages of taking that low ground natural. As long as it goes well for you early game, you're in a strong spot. Ooh, that's a lot of lost Marines there. Yeah.
Attempted bust from Terran. He trades for 2 lurkers, which is decent, but the Marine count keeps getting reset and reset and reset. But he does have 2 tanks. He's got 5 racks production. He's going to have his first vessel coming out. And because Zerg built this many lurkers and kind of cut into their queen nest timing, there is a window for Bust to try and take down the natural with a siege push. But I mean, it's very, very tiny. Well, actually, it's not that tiny. It's the Defiler Mound just about to complete, so he's got something like a minute to actually go for it. But Greater Spire going to be starting to morph too.
Yeah, I don't know if I like the Greater Spire play here. I think he could have just gone directly into Defiler. I don't know if there's the gas to really support a ton of Guardian at the moment. Oh, but the vessel goes down, and that's starting to change everything. These 4 lurkers have really been allowed to delay this push so heavily.
Yeah, but actually all these lurkers are dead now. Remember, there's 7. Now there's 1, and as you stated, it's Greater Spire being morphed. It's not done just yet. That's going to force a ton of Guardians here. Actually, I think BusTerran's going to win. I don't see anything that can stop this amount of Marines. Mutas, okay, well that tank positioning is a little far forward, but here he comes. Mutas are going to die coming in, and this just looks like an unstoppable army. Remember, he's gotten +1 relatively quickly. +1 armor should be kicking in too, and look at this, all the Mutas are going to die before they even start morphing.
BusTerran busting in here, man. Running over this Zerg's Duncan defense. Nidus is down, and we have no more lurkers. Oh, yeah, man.
There's no crossing guard machine. The bus is just going to run the Zerg over exactly. This Nat is dead. Even though I love the position BusTerran was in, was maybe a little bit too many resources into bottom right. Like, that's 300 minerals into a hatchery that could have been 4 Sunkens. I'm not saying that would have stopped it, but it would have delayed it. And he still doesn't have any high tech. I mean, just pure mutas. Look at this control, though. He's doing such a fantastic job knocking down the majority of the Marines.
Yeah, he really is. But, you know, you can't fight this late game with Muta into bio, especially when vessels are involved as well. Honestly, BusTerran just getting the better of all these trades. There's really no larva left in the main here. I don't know what could possibly pop out of these eggs to defend this force. And yeah, 2 more Muta is not going to cut it here. We still have these lurkers, though, in the center, looking to pick up some reinforcements.
Yeah, I was just about to say that I thought they were hold position, but they do cut off reinforcements, and they get a ton of kills. And if there was even like 5 or 6 mutas, he may have been able to clean it up. I realize he lost his natural, but there wasn't a lot of anti-air, but there it is. There's the GG. And BusTerran, not aggro in the early stages of this game. That was just pure macro play.
Yeah, pure macro play out of BusTerran. I mean, maybe he, is trying to throw Jedi off, or maybe he's honestly just not afraid of getting to a late game against Jedi. Still, though, Jedi, as we saw, was in a pretty significant advantage there, I'd say, towards the early and mid stages of the game. But BusTerran able to find that opening, tear down that wall, and just ended up taking a pretty solid win here, game number 1 in this series.
Yeah, it was pretty darn perfect from BusTerran. I think Jedi's Defiler Mound was just slightly late. If it was 30 seconds faster, maybe that's enough time for him to get up the Dark Swarm or get the Guardians if the Spire was slightly faster. But it is what it is, and BusTerran, he's 1 game away now in this best of 3 series. Now, if you're Zerg here thinking about maps, what do you think we're going to see Jedi pick?
Well, if we didn't just see him play on it, I'd say Vermeer. But, there's still plenty of options here for our Zerg. I don't think Gladiator would be the worst pick. Butter, if we just want to get down to like a fairly standard 2-player map. Overwatch as well. I tend to lean towards more of the 4-player maps myself. So yeah, maybe Gladiator. Maybe Gladiator could be a good call here, honestly. But we'll have to wait and see what Jedi ends up picking for Game 2 in this series here.
Yeah, I would go for Gladiator if I was there. Huge macro map. It's got the low ground racks. If you underestimate that low ground ramp, sometimes lanes can be surprisingly strong, catch you off guard. I would not pick Butter for Overwatch. It's just, especially versus somebody that's going to wall. It's just so powerful to wall and get an instant expansion.
That's
and
true.
we are going to see Sylphid. So,
Ooh, Sylphid, good pick. Solid pick. You know, there's plenty of third base options to choose from for Zerg. High ground ramps to defend. It's also just a pretty popular old school map, so you could guarantee that both these players have played about 1 billion games on it apiece. But yeah, it sounds like we are ready for the next game here. Game number 2, BusTerran versus Jedi. Let's get to it. And spawning at the 12 o'clock position as the red-colored Zerg, it is Jedi.
yep, and in the bottom right, it is our blue Terran, BusTerran. And Sylphid is one of those maps where you can wall. You can't necessarily wall your natural, but you can wall your main. And if BusTerran can play like Terror, like if he can play some one-base play, we may see some Wraith type of openers. I mean, that's a fantastic build on this map, and got my eyes locked on that command center case. Queued up another SCV.
So this is not going to be an 8 Rex then. I
Oh.
was wondering.
Yeah, I was also wondering. He did cancel it just now, but then rebuilt it. So I guess he was deciding, okay, am I going to 8 racks? Am I going to play standard? For now, he's decided that he is going to play standard. You know, I would really love to see a 14cc. I don't know about Sylphid since he can get instantly scouted, but if you got the image of being aggro, mixing in 14cc could be a good move, but at the same time, you may run into an overpull, right? Like, overpull kind of shuts down a lot of aggro plays, so maybe that's not the smartest move, actually, the more I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. You might. I don't know. Zergs really don't like to overpull versus Terran, I feel like, in general. It's not a... I mean, it's you just don't optimize the mining early very well, and even though, you know, it doesn't feel like that risky of a play, I feel like you still have to get some kind of damage done with those early lings to really recover from it economically. Ooh, we're seeing a gas being taken inside the main of BusTerran. This is going to be new. This would be some type of gas opener. Maybe he is planning 2-port rate, like you said.
Yeah, this is one of the maps where you can wall, and you can see he's already setting up for that wall. And when Jedi comes in here and sees how fast this depot is, he should know instantly that this is not going to be a command center. Like, obviously he's going to scout the gas, but what I mean is this is not going to be a pulled off gas. At least I don't think it's going to be. Yeah, this depot, it's way too fast. Like, look at it, 16 out of 26. Terran would never do this unless they were intending to hide something.
I see. Well, we do see the factory going
Whoa.
down. Drone didn't see it, though.
He did pull off, actually, but I mean, he should know something's already up with how fast that depot is, but maybe not. And it is actually going to be pulled off of gas. I am surprised that that's the case, but it's going to be more macro, a more typical opener. Can he get in and see the factory? No, it just barely misses it. But this is going to be 1-1-1, and this is a very fragile opener, but if you have good control, I think this is actually like the best opener Terran can do, because it forces such weird tech. It forces Zerg to be low eco, and it's hard to punish if you've got the control. But if you don't, well, you can easily just die to lings.
With this 1-1-1 opener, do Terrans typically go Valkyrie on this map, or would this be a Vessel?
I think it's just going to be, well, what's that? Okay, well, the answer is it's going to be none of that, because this is going to be
What is this?
2 racks Academy with Vultures, and this is like a Terror-esque move right here. I've seen it on Circuit Breakers a couple times, where you send in the vultures first, they take the hits, and then the Marine medic in the back dish out all the damage.
Huh. That's yeah, I would never have guessed this. I really am lost right now. I don't
But
know
he sees it.
But he has an Overlord Scout in the main. Wow, very interesting. Opting to sacrifice that Overlord, but I think this is one of those instances where it will pay off. Hydra Den at the natural here for Jedi. So it looks like he wasn't really planning on going Spire anyway. Never mind, there's a Spire. I guess these are just defensive Hydra to defend against potential Wraith, but we know that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the case. He wanted to go into the Wraith, or he wanted to get the Hydras to deny the Wraith. But now this is kind of awkward because it's not like he built one Hydra. This is 4 Hydras. That's a lot of resources. It's 100 gas, which is 1 Muta right here, and you're already low drone. So, I mean, the Vulture spots it. Maybe it forces out a bunker and kind of hurts BusTerran's timing. But now with the Hydras going back and with no speed being spotted, I think BusTerran's content with his position right now and he's just going to move forward with what he originally planned. I mean, look at Jedi's gas. He's only going to be able to build 4 Mutas.
I mean, Jedi's been hurt, honestly. That supply block so early really has kind of staved this drone count from getting to the numbers it kind of needs to be. And yeah, obviously, as you mentioned, these 4 Hydra not really going to do a whole lot against Stim Marine Medic. I don't, I think he scouted, but I don't think he truly knows.
Yeah, I think this is just a complete misread. Like, this is a drone out on the map to go build a hatchery. That's 300 minerals that can't help you. Meanwhile, we've got Marine Medic, Vulture moving across the map. BusTerran may have barely missed his window because usually you're attacking before 5:45 because that's when the mutas pop. But okay, there's only 1 sunken.
BusTerran coming in here, 3 Muta. That's not what you want. He was completely confused here. He still thought this was 1-1-1, I think.
He may have poked in and didn't click the buildings and just misread this completely. I have no idea, because if I was Zerg here and saw this, I would have put down 2 or 3 Sunkens and probably would have kept the Hydras and gone into Lurkers and just try and set up like a Lurker contain somewhere or hidden Lurker somewhere, because these Mutas, they're just so late. Like, you can see how late they were, and with one Sunken, it's just not enough. He loses his Nat, he loses his Hydra Den, and he's losing Mutas that pop out at the natural.
Yeah, it looks like Jedi, his tournament life on the line here before he's going to go into that loser bracket, so really just trying his best to stay alive. But as you mentioned, I think this was just a misread. He has to have known that you shouldn't be going Scourge and slow Hydras versus this. But yeah,
these are ranged Marines too. I mean, it's not like they only have stim. You can see how effective they were versus those Mutas, and Jedi taps out. And what was a perfect scout timing, actually perfect, sees everything, sees its 3 racks. I mean, maybe he's just never faced it before. I mentioned Terra, right? And I mentioned Circuit Breakers. When was the last time we saw Circuit Breakers? I mean, years ago, right? So it's been years since even I've seen it, and I've spectated a lot of games. So maybe it was just, maybe he's just literally never faced it before.
I mean, I would absolutely have been thrown off the second I saw that Vulture. I wouldn't have even sent the Overlord into the main. And then as soon as I saw a Vulture, I probably would have made the 4 Hydras and not that many Sunkens, because you don't need them early versus 1-1 openers. But man, that was kind of an interesting little mind game there. And with that, BusTerran takes the quick 2-0 victory. We'll be moving on to the next stage of the winners bracket. Unfortunately, Jedi going to move down to the losers bracket as well. Still a good series, and we'll get to see more of both of these players moving on later into the next rounds.
Yeah, and now I think we're going to be going into our next matchup, which is going to be the matchup that I really wanted. I like Mihu, but I really wanted him to lose yesterday just because we knew that this would be a rematch. And it's going to be Mihu versus LCY. If you guys have not seen the game specifically on Overwatch. You should watch that game between these two players. I think LCY had the perfect counter in the early stages, and I'm hoping we get another good game from him. I mean, in the end, LCY obviously was taken down, but Mihu looked vulnerable, and we know he can be beat because look at that scoreboard. 2-0 for DuGu yesterday.
Yeah, very solid 2-0, right? Like it wasn't gimmicky. DuGu played out of his mind to go ahead and take that victory against our former BSL champ from the previous 2 seasons. So, but yeah, this is going to be LCY DH versus Mihu. Dan, I know you really were looking forward to this one. You were kind of mentioning that you think LCY DH can do some type of like a Reaver opener and then maybe transition into more of that late game Protoss tech. He might be able to do it here against Mihu. So yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how this one's gonna go. PBT, Mihu, known for, I would say, his 4-fact TVP. He does a lot of like 2-base 4-fact play. At least that's what I've caught up on throughout his last BSL season, and he looks quite strong with it. So it might not be the easiest thing, obviously, for LCY DH to defend.
Yeah, when you play Mihu, you know it's a timing. The question is, what timing is it? Is it going to be low tank count, heavy vulture 4-fact? Is it going to be heavy tank, low vulture? Is it going to be 4-fact into a command center? That's what makes Mihu hard to play against, is even if you see the 4-fact, you don't necessarily know exactly what it is. But you know what shuts all that down? Reaver, man. I'm telling you, it's the Reaver play. It shuts it down. It doesn't necessarily win you the game, but it shuts him down. It lets you get into your 3rd and 4th base as Protoss, and then you can decide how you want to follow up. You were mentioning that LCY ended up going to the shuttles and the Templars. I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, I've been on record saying I'm not a big fan of that. That's Mini-esque, and Mini's really the only one that can do it. He's the only one. But if you can get into the carriers more like Bonnet, or get into heavy Arbiter more like Oyachi, I mean, I think that's a better follow-up, and I'm hoping that we see LCY transition into that. But if he goes for the Templar Storms, I mean, in the Overwatch game, he did have effective Storms. The problem is it's 4-base Terran versus 4-base Protoss, and generally Terran wins that.
Yep. You have to have that base count advantage, as Protoss against Terran the later the game goes. But yeah, we really haven't seen, I don't think I've seen a single game in the Asia region of carriers late game PVT so far, which is kind of interesting to me. I think we've seen Arbiter, no carrier yet though. And as you mentioned, like players like Boneth make it look so strong. It's definitely not a weak transition late game in this matchup. So I'm personally a fan of carrier late game PVT. I'd love to see it. We'll see, if that is an option the LCY DH considers here against Mihu. All right, guys, and it sounds like we are ready to get into game number 1 here. LCY oh, this is going to be a best of 1, so this will be it, actually. Mihu's tournament lifeline on the line here. Game 1 and only. Here we go. And spawning at the top right as that red Terran, we have Mihu.
Yep, and in the top left we have our blue Protoss. It is LCY, and we were told that they played on the wrong map, so this is going to be Fighting Spirit. If I was Mihu, I would already be skeptical about this map. Like, it's not in the map pool, like it's not in the ladder map pool. Why would you? Okay, it is in the ladder map pool. I have it vetoed, but I'm curious how they.
As a Terran player,
no,
I love this map for Terran.
Well, I'm curious, like how it got picked. Like.
I mean, maybe that's Mihu's like meta, right? He tricked him. Yeah, sure, this is Vermeer, and then just made the game.
Yeah.
He just spams like Alt-O to start the game.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he does like this map. We're looking at spawns. If you're gonna go for a timing, this is you want these spawns, I guess, as Terran, but I mean, if you listen to Artosis' stream, you would think this is an unwinnable map for Terran, so we'll see.
If you watch Artosis' stream, you think playing as Terran is unwinnable, honestly.
That's true. That's true. But fighting spirit especially, like, I don't know
Really?
if I've ever... He just hates this map, man. He says, like, it's impossible to get your third base. You just can't do it.
It's true. Oh my gosh.
But I mean, he doesn't get a third base on any map, right? So does it really matter if it's fighting spirit or not?
Very true. It's just that's just the excuse, especially fighting spirit. I've not heard that. That's really funny. Cybercore going down here for LCYDH, making himself get to that mid-game tech here for Protoss. SCV scout out for Mihu, and it looks like he's going to get first scout off. That's funny. Terran scouting before Protoss and getting that first scout. Things are looking great here for Mihu so far.
He's going to see the Zealot, which is going to be perfect, and more Protoss players are not really scouting at all. You're generally relying on their Zealot or this combo right here where they send the Zealot to top right, probe to bottom left, and they get a double scout pretty much at the same time, and then the Zealot can sync up with the probe later on. Meanwhile, that is instant goon, so unless Mihu can get this bunker up in time, this could be dangerous for him. Zealot, very slow unit, so this should be in time though. There's the range, and this is more of a old school opener, and a lot of Terrans are very good versus this, so already I'm liking Mihu's position.
Zealot, unfortunately, going that cross map, really unfortunate. If he had sent it top right, it might have been able to get a little bit of work done. But as is, Mihu will have plenty of time to get this bunker up and just defend his natural.
Yep, and we saw that Mihu did not cut Marines. He's got at least 3 in that bunker, and that's exactly what you need to do. Depot coming down before the command center. He's also building a Vulture. A lot of pros mention that you only need to build a Vulture if you see 2 Zealots. I'm kind of on the train of building a Vulture regardless, as long as you see a Zealot, because just think about it. It's 75 supply for 100 right there. Pretty much an even trade. I don't think you're taking a big hit there. And he's still going to get his command center at a relatively similar time to LCY. So everything looking just fine for Mihu. Instant add-on also.
I feel like the big thing about this Vulture first is, right, he didn't really even need to use it to defend, but now it's out on the map. Protoss has no idea about it, and if this is a mine opener from Mihu, there's potential to get some tricky mines and some unfortunate positions that might be able to do some significant damage here early on.
Yep, and I love the eBay follow-up. He came in and saw that the Nexus was kind of slow. We know that there's nothing going on. Oh, actually, is there? Yeah, okay, there isn't anything going on in LCY's base, but you always got to be weary of Hidden Citadel or Hidden Robo or something like that, and Terran is just playing cautiously here. So he is building an excessive turret that he doesn't necessarily need right now, but it's not going to be too punishing. And as you mentioned, with the Vulture out on the map, it could be mines. Protoss has no idea whether it's mines or not. So Protoss can't just mindlessly move throughout the map. And instead, Mihu's just going to go into straight tanks.
Yeah, probably a good call here. I personally like the turret, given that this is a best of 1. You know, this is basically Mihu's lifeline to this tournament still. And it would be a really unfortunate way to fall if a single DT just walked into his main at this point, you know?
Yeah, for sure. You definitely don't want to lose that way. And this is maybe going to be 3-gate Observer. For now, it's 2-gate. I really do like 2-gate more than 3-gate. I feel like if you build non-stop goons, you're pretty much going to have almost the same amount of units when Terran makes a 3-tank, couple Vulture move out. So I think this is a perfect response from LCY right now. The question to me is, what's the follow-up going to be? Is it going to be Reaver later on? Is it going to be another Nexus? Is it going to be the 3rd gate right here? It looks like it is going to be. And Mihu's going to be moving out pretty soon. And what makes Mihu different from other Terrans is during this move out, he does not cut at all. So you must not only stop this attack, but you also must not cut. Or go Reaver and put some pressure back on him, because if you fall behind, maybe you stop the first attack, but you're not going to stop the second or the third one.
Yeah, I was really hoping we were going to get to see a Reaver opener because, you know, as you mentioned, Mihu's just known for these 2-base timings. You basically know it's coming. This is a little unfortunate. I like Mihu's position just based on the builds here so far.
Oh, this is Tank Man, and as I stated, this is what makes Mihu dangerous, is you know the timing's coming, but what is it? What is it? You don't know. When it's tanks like this, all of a sudden this 3-gate goon opener, not the greatest, because if you can get up to critical mass tanks like 8, 9, 10 tanks, it almost doesn't matter how many goons you have. What you need is more zealots, or you need Reaver again to get on top of the actual tanks. Like, they're just gonna dish out so much damage, and I'm worried for LCY here because of what I said. Like, maybe you stop the first attack, but do you see a third Nexus anywhere? I don't. You need big eco versus something like this.
Yeah, you really need big eco versus something like this. You know, maybe we can see some like shuttle like Zealot Bomb play to help try to defend this upcoming timing. We actually do have a shuttle, so it's looking like that's possible here. But still, the tank count is really starting to grow for Mihu. Siege is completed, and I would expect another move out here shortly. 5th factory even being added here from Mihu. So this is definitely going to be a 2-base timing from our Terran player.
Yeah, and actually for the first time I think ever, look at that SCV count, not moving at all. It's stuck at 41, which is good for 2-base, I want to point out, but it is not going to be, you know, what Mihu's really known for, like going up to 50, 60 SCVs on 2 bases, then transitioning to a 3rd base. So this time around, it is going to be a committed 5-fact. What LCY needs to do now is, I saw he already had the Citadel, is he needs to ramp up that gateway count. Unfortunately for him, okay, can he get in? It is crucial he gets in here and scouts the factories. He sees 2 of them, so he knows it's at least 4 right now. Can he see the okay, he should know that this is at least 4, 5, potentially 6 factories, and the gateway count needs to explode. Yeah, it is exploding now. He doesn't necessarily need Storm, but he needs 7, 8 gate, and just pump out as many zealots as possible.
Little bit of a vulture run by poking around, scouting that 3rd base here for LCYDH. As we know, the vulture pump has started here. It shouldn't be too much longer before Mihu unsieges and starts moving out. Here we go. Tanks are unsieging, and man, this is quite a bit of tanks here. Supplies pretty even.
Yeah, this is 12 tanks. You know, after seeing Mihu win BSL twice in a row, I experimented with not necessarily his 4-fact build order, but like his general idea of going for heavy tank style, attacking at around 9 minutes. We're seeing it right here. It's a 9:30 push, and look how strong it is. He's within 10 supply of Protoss, and generally when Terran's this close in supply and you can push this quickly across the map unhindered, you're gonna be in a very dominant position. Speed not kicked in for the Zealots just yet, but even if it does, look, the Rax is floating in front of the tanks. That means it's gonna bug out the AI of the Dragoons, and there's so many tanks behind it.
We even have turrets being placed in the center to ward off these observers and the shuttle play. I love it. Mines are being placed very far away from the siege tanks just to prevent any type of splash that could deal damage to his own units here. He's never getting caught unsieged, right? Like, he's doing this very slowly, very methodically, which I love to see. You know, you never like watching the turns that get overly aggressive or just lazy. Here we go. Big Zealot moving in with legs. Shuttle dropping a Templar up front, and Templar gets a pretty good storm on the first 3 siege tanks, but SCV's already going to repair those, and look at all the blue goo, Nyokin. I think he's done it.
He easily did it. Those 3 goons at the top, they didn't get a single shot off onto the tanks. They attacked the barracks, and then the depot at the bottom took the shots from the goons. Like, he just instantly taps out. I mean, this is why Mihu's just so dangerous. Did you see his vulture placement? They're never way too far forward. They're always body blocking the tanks. Always, always, without fail. I don't think I've ever seen him botch an attack. It's just always perfection. And when you can execute like that, it's no wonder he goes 4-factor, 5-factor every game.
Yeah, he's basically taking free wins with that. I love the way he put the depots in the front of the tanks as well. As I mentioned, he did it so slowly. There was never a point where he was caught unsieged. And LCYDH, even though he macroed pretty well, got that third base up, recognized what the timing was. He just didn't seem to have a way of really stopping it. So well played there from Mihu. He will move on to the next stage of the loser bracket. Can't even believe I'm saying that. But LCYDH, that will be the end of his BSL15 journey. So, nicely played there from our Protoss player, but, we'll have to wait and see him again next season here. So let's see here. Up next, we have... Let's see.
We have John Hoon versus Xiao Shuai. Little cool guy, right? Little handsome guy.
Little handsome, man. Little handsome is up at it again. This is a matchup I'm personally pretty excited for. John Hoon, he's just such a strong Protoss player. I was saying at the beginning of this, he was probably my number 2 behind Mihu to really take this entire playoff. That's how solid of a Protoss player he actually is. He's just kind of shown phenomenal macro the later the game goes. And it's honestly just a lot of fun to watch. But Xiao Shuai, definitely no slouch. Very strong Zerg player. Had a decent series versus Mihu prior in the tournament, but ended up falling and taking second place in his group. But yeah, this is going to be a pretty interesting PvZ, and this is a winner's bracket match, so this will actually be a best of 5, so we should get at least a few games here between these two players.
Yeah, and this should be completely different from yesterday when we saw Xiao Shuai versus JayStar, because JayStar kind of just 2-gate all-in every game, right? Including
Right.
The PVT. It was a proxy gate, I guess, in PVT, but he was mega all-in every game we saw him. And John Hoon, I don't think I've seen him all-in in any of the games from BSL 14 or 15. He's just macro king. He's a micro god. I don't know if he could actually lose a PvP. I agree with you. I think he's the number 2 pick here behind Mihu, but John Hoon, again, just like LCY, when I watched him versus Mihu last season, I thought, okay, this is going to be the guy that takes down Mihu. So I think he could potentially take down Mihu if we see that matchup. I think John Hoon could actually win it all for sure. He's just that good.
I'd have to agree with you. It's funny. We both were saying he's, was kind of considered second behind Mihu here, but Mihu in the losers bracket, man, there's a chance he gets knocked out before even facing John Hoon at this point. But yeah, John Hoon still making his way through here. I definitely, more think of his PvP series with Boneth in the prior seasons and, PvT, but going up PvZ here against Xiao Shuai, this is not going to be an easy match for him. It seems like game number 1 is going to be on Butter as well. So 2-player map, I kind of like that map for PvZ. Should be a pretty decent match here. I think we could continue on. What do you think, Dan?
I can go.
All right.
If we want to just keep going, or we can do a break, it doesn't matter to me.
All right. Let's keep it up then. So looks like, yeah, we're going to be getting into John Hoon versus Xiao Shuai here pretty shortly. Little handsome, man.
I got a question, man. Is he a magician? Because that's a playing card, right? Like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, is this like a YouTuber magician guy?
I think it is, yeah. He might be a magician. I know he's a caster as well, so I don't know, man. Maybe his thing is just like throwing cards at people. Or maybe he's saying
maybe he's a card thrower.
Maybe he's saying he's got your card. I don't know.
Oh, maybe he's got
Yeah.
a card up his sleeve, you know?
Yeah.
This is
I
his
like
trump card. You remember that Pro League match from like 15 years ago with Haya? Where after he won, he pulled out like a Yu-Gi-Oh card that you activated my trap
Yes.
card.
Yes. Oh my god, it's hilarious, man. The good old days. Shoot, XuanXuan, man. And yeah, as I mentioned before, Butter, 2-player map here. We've already seen quite a few PVZs on this throughout, the tournament here so far. Lots of open space towards the center, and then there's these weird high ground ridges as we go towards the mid-left side of the map. Lots of little entryways for Zealots and Zerglings and Dark Templars to run around and get behind bases. So this one, could be a pretty interesting one. It sounds like we are ready to get into game number 1 here between these two, so let's go ahead and get to it. And spawning at the top right as the blue Protoss. You already know who it is. It's Janhoon.
Indeed it is. And in the bottom right, our red Zerg, it is JayStar. And I saw a donation coming in from Cuckoo Boy. I recognize that ID from the ladder, so thank you for supporting the BSL. I guess he's a Chinese player. Never knew exactly where he's from, but you can see we have our donation goal at the bottom. We're quite a ways away from our $10,000 goal for BSL 16. So if you like BSL, want to continue to see more BSLs in the future, definitely consider making a donation or becoming a Patreon supporter.
Yep, absolutely. Every donation helps quite a bit, so y'all can spare it and support it. We'd appreciate it.
All right, Machine, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You think we're going to see another cannon rush? Do you think you can get into that sweet spot at bottom left?
I don't know, man. I think Overpool and 9-pool is so common on the map that I don't know why you would do this silly cannon rush stuff, but we very much might be. Probe, yes, getting into that sweet spot. You did call it.
I was joking, really. I was like, there's no way, especially after yesterday. Who was it? Was it JayStar that pulled it? I can't remember exactly.
I think it was JayStar.
Yeah, I thought for sure, okay, there's no way you're going to do it again. But there he goes, Janhoon. Janhoon's going to pull it out. And I honestly don't know if the hatchery, when it goes down, can it spot this probe. It looks like it's actually got even less vision, and he's going to miss it again.
Yeah, this has to be planned. I mean, it's just too coincidental that we've seen this twice in a row here. This is giving me nightmares, honestly. Pool is done. Lings will be produced here shortly. It looks like 4 Zerglings so far from XuanXuan. Droning after that. And this is pretty common. I mean, if the Zerglings theoretically just gun it straight behind the natural, this will be stopped.
I think he's going to scout it. And you know why I think he's going to... Oh my god, he didn't scout it! I really want some Protoss and Zerg input, because think about this, Machine. It's a 2-player map. Think about all your games on Eclipse, because we know that's a 2-player ladder map. How many times have you played Eclipse and you're in the probe not be in time to stop a hatchery at the natural? How many games is it not there in time? I feel like it's so low that you should know that something's going on.
Yeah, you're very right. Like, that first Overlord should be... I think he does recognize it. I think something just clicked, and he's running straight for it, but he's going to be a little late here. Yeah, you as soon as the Overlord gets there and that Nexus hasn't been started, something's up. Ooh, cancel. I mean, at least we don't see a dead hatchery, right? This is a playable situation for Zerg. Yes, nobody likes playing from here, but at least it's not completely game over at this point.
Yeah, now I'm curious about this pylon position, because we see the probe is locked in. Yesterday, the probe was not locked in. Now, it's only one probe, but when you're already kind of in a low eco situation in the early stages of the game, I mean, every worker does count. So that's a dead probe. That's another dead probe. And now he has no intel into what Zerg's doing. Yesterday, I'm trying to think, what was the follow-up? Did Zerg all into it?
I don't think so. He just kind of went. Right. Yeah. It was. Oh, it was. It was like a 2 base like lurker drop all in type timing. So I don't think we're gonna see that here from Zhao Shuai. We do have a layer though. At least we have a 3rd hatchery, which we didn't in the previous series. But still, this is a little frustrating as Zerg. Mining is not really optimized. You know, what do? Do you transfer a couple of your drones from your main all the way over to that 3rd base and lose all that mining time in between? Maybe. I don't know. Obviously, you kind of prefer to just get this cannon dealt with at the natural, kill it off, and then go ahead and connect your 3 bases from there. But
Yeah,
for John
at least,
Hoon,
I was gonna say, at least there's not a lot of cannon pressure, right? Because the probe's locked, you're not necessarily getting cannoned into your main. So, I mean, that's great. He can just drone, he can build lings, and now he knows since the probe is locked, he could just get on top of that cannon at the natural on the top side. Instead, he's going to move these lings out into the center of the map, and he may actually go for a counterattack because it went unspotted. And he knows that all the zealots are out of position and may even think that there's a gap at the natural right now. Well, this is going to be an awkward situation because now we've got a zealot into the 3rd base, and both players are going to trade harassment here.
yeah, we do have that zealot at the 3rd base. Lings are finishing up, but yeah, here comes the speed ling timing into the natural, getting on top of the 1st cannon. 2nd cannon also going to be surrounded here, but this is a pretty decent probe pull from John Hoon. 3 zealots still out on the map. It looks like the zealots are being cleaned up at that 3rd base, though. So suddenly, Zhao Shuai with some pretty interesting play, and I think he's in a good spot here.
Yeah, but zealot into the main, and we know that it's hard to keep track of where all these zealots are when you're attacking with lings at the same time. The defense at the natural it does manage to clean up the lings. Now the question to me is how many drones actually got killed. I think at least 1 in the main, maybe 1 at the 3rd base, and that's a drone not mining right there. But the Spire's done, and we don't know what the tech is for John Hoon. That's a gap right there. He's gotta be careful, can't let the lings in.
Ooh, yeah, gap, and we actually have nothing but non-stop lings flooding across the map. We were checking the eggs there, and I think Zhao Shuai smells blood. He's just trying to go for an end here.
Yeah, and we can clearly see that Zhao Shuai, when he realizes that he can end the game, he's got the killer instinct, he's going to go for it. July Zerg-esque, he's not going to let you breathe at all, and that means that the natural has been breached. If the pylon's dead, there's no way he's going to defend the natural now, and if cannons don't go up in the main, I think he just actually loses. He has absolutely no defense on the ground. There it is, GG.
Wow.
And so a genius opener from John Hoon ends up backfiring simply because there was nothing at the wall to defend the lings from getting in.
Yeah, maybe getting a little too greedy there, right? Like, if you're John Hoon, you've already stopped the natural with that cannon placement. Why send zealots out on the map? Why break your wall, right? Like, you're already like in a fine position. Don't allow those little avenues back for a Zerg player to make that comeback. But Zhao Shuai, I mean, man, hats off to him making that big call to just continue that link production, surrounding those cannons at the natural, and takes a pretty decisive 1-0 lead from a deficit. So very well done there from our Zerg.
Yeah, and at least for John Hoon, it's a best of 5, so it's not like he's 1 game away from, being put into the losers bracket. He can give up a game in a best of 5. I mean, you don't necessarily want to, obviously, but at least he's got, he can lose 1 game straight up and still be in, still have remaining games. But this cannon rush, man, I was really joking that we were going to see it again. I was like, there's no way, because Zerg should know, like they should scout, like you just saw it yesterday. But John Hoon, we came into it saying macro, macro, macro. I see all in after all in at almost every game. Like the only macro game we just saw was a 4-fact, which is not necessarily all in Terran versus Protoss. But again, it's another aggro opener. I'm just waiting to see, can we get a big macro PVZ? Because we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, we really haven't. Like you're saying, we're seeing a lot of risk taking, But it has been paying off, for the most part. I would prefer to see a long macro game between these two players, but the right circumstances I feel like need to be in place. The good thing, for John Hoon is, like you said, that's just game one. This is a best of five. Um, and a player that is known for having, this incredible late game, mid late game macro play. Maybe started off with a kind of a gimmicky opener. It might be at least throwing Zhao Shuai off. Now he knows things like a cannon rush are possible from John Hoon, and he's going to need to basically like worry about that in some of these future games as well. So maybe that's what John Hoon had in mind. This is going to be a longer series, and it could throw him off a little bit. But yeah, actually, with that, game number 2 here going to be on Overwatch, another 2-player map here. So we definitely have the potential for more shenanigans here out of our Protoss player. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. So it seems like we are ready to get into game number 2 here between John Hoon and Zhao Shuai. Let's get to it. And spawning at the top left of Overwatch as the Red Zerg, we have Zhao Shuai.
And in the bottom right, down 0-1, it is John Hoon. I have to say, as soon as I saw Overwatch, first thing I looked at was those naturals and thought to myself, okay, can you cannon rush the naturals? Can you hide a pylon there? I don't think you can. You
No?
can? You think so? I don't think you can. I think you can't see it. I think you can see it, I mean.
Oh, I don't think you can hide it.
Yeah.
I think you can cannon rush, using like the Vespin Geyser and stuff, though. But
Oh, okay.
but yeah, no hiding it. This is definitely not butter. There's not like a ton of open space around that natural area. So that's still not to say we couldn't see another cannon rush. It definitely still happens.
That is true. Well, I'm happy to see that we're getting a low ground pylon as opposed to yesterday, where we saw, what was it, JayStar build a gateway or build a pylon in his main and then go Nexus and then go 2K. So at least we're still going to get a normal opener. And there's that is that an overpool? I think it's an overpool. Yeah.
Yep. Pretty common on 2-player maps. It's very, frequently a Protoss on a 2-player map will just pylon scout, block your natural. So trying to go for something like a hatchery first here is just risky as a Zerg. There's never, one of the worst feelings is when you're trying to go 11 or 12 hatch at your expo, and then the probe just shows up, puts down a pylon, and you're just upset with yourself for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Now I just want to point out, because I talked about it last game. Look at the probe timing this time relative to the overpool. Like, it denies the hatchery, right? Like,
Right.
It's completely different timing. And again, it's a 2-player map, which is why I thought it was so weird that the Zerg players weren't scouting for the cannon. Like, because you can see it's a completely different timing this time, and it's not a cannon rush.
Yeah, very, very true. I don't know. I guess it's just tough to recognize that sometimes. I definitely would have fallen for it for sure.
Well, we've got just 2 lings, and Probe spots it, so he knows that he can actually get some damage done with the Zealot. Overlord intercepted the income. Oh, did he though? Did he see it? Just like yesterday, he's saving up the larva to make a decision. Now he sees the Zealot, but he needs to morph lings ASAP.
Yeah, we're only going to have 2 lings at the moment, 2 producing. Okay, 4 more are producing, but it's going to take them a second before they hatch to be able to deal with the Zealot. Meanwhile, Zealot probe moving into the main, and when you pair them together, they can 2-shot drones, so this is a little scary for Zhao Shuai, but actually John Hoon opting to back off, and I think that's a wise decision.
Yeah, sometimes just forcing lings is basically a kill, right? Like, that's
Right.
not drones, so you don't necessarily have to kill anything. Just take your win there. Know that Zerg's econ not scaling as effectively as yours is going into the mid game, but instead he's going to move in again. Nope, he's going to back off after spotting 8 lings. That's a little bit too many. I like how he's going to engage on the ramp here, but he can't get surrounded. That's a fantastic positioning, though, with the probe support in the back.
Yeah, that was perfectly controlled, but still, Zhao Shuai taking a decent trade, even after all of that. Nicely done here from our Zerg player. Zealot sitting on the high ground in the middle there with a kind of a tricky play, looking to run back and do some type of counter damage. I don't think we have a cannon up at the natural yet for Zhanhun, so this could be, Forge not even complete.
This is another Ling all-in machine.
I mean, it should be. If you're gonna be these Zealots, trying to run around on the map, you got to take full advantage of it. Core is already started before cannon. Probes being transferred to the natural, and I think that Zealot has done a little bit of a job at the main, kind of stalling, but we definitely see more and more Zerglings flooding across the map. No drones in production at all, and
he's in trouble because, oh my gosh, Ling Speed is about to kick in, and once he sees Ling Speed, he should know that this is a Ling all-in. The Zealot's positioning is fantastic. Look how well they're trading this time around. 3 of them still holding strong. Zhao Shuai cannot let this cannon complete, because if it does, and the gateway doesn't get knocked down, oh, look at the Zealots, it's so low! But in the end, manages to survive, and that means that Zhanhun's going to hold this, and I saw that his cybernetics was halfway done, so it should be done now. And this is going to be a Stargate being built before this guy's even mining gas. Like, there's no layer, there's no hydrogen, there's no anything. It's just going to be continued links. He knows he can't transition out of this, so I don't fault him for this, but he's only going to have really one attack here.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the call. Trying to drone out of this, maybe get like either an Evo chamber and a Spore or some type of Hydra. It would just be too little too late at this point. At least the gateway is fairly weak. Here we go, big engagement again. Another flood of lings. Gateway looking like it's going to fall here in a second. And with that, he will be allowed to just surround these cannons, kill off the Zealots, and maybe he's done it?
Yeah, I think he has, because there's no gateways in the main. That's a Stargate. There's no cannons either. So this all-in that Zhao Shuai has gone for, he's at least breached the natural. That's a Citadel. I mean, Citadel's great, but you gotta have actual units. Now we've got Lings in the main. There's no cannon. He's building a Stargate. I'm hoping that's a Scout, actually, but it doesn't matter because it just taps out.
Yeah, GG is called there. Man, Zhao Shuai taking a very quick 2-0 lead against our favorite, Zhanhun, man. He's got to rally. He's got to do something. You never like dying to Ling all-ins 2 games in a row if you're Protoss.
Yeah, and we've seen these Ling plays, whether it's ZVP now or ZVT yesterday. Remember, DuGu had good surround with his Lings comboed with Mutas versus Mihu. Like, they're winning games just with their Lings. I think Zhanhun's play was fine, but a little bit of a misread. Maybe the Zealot, like we saw the hidden Zealot right on the high ground, and then it moved in, but we didn't actually see, did it get into the natural? Did it get into the main? I guess clearly he misread, because if he knew, he would have built more cannons and not a Citadel. But yeah, I don't know. Now Zhao Shuai is 1 game away, and if Zhanhun gets put in the losers bracket, you know what that means, right? That means either Mihu or Zhanhun are gone. Like, they're just out.
Yeah, that would be really unfortunate, especially because they both did so well in the prior season. Yeah, this is kind of interesting. I did not expect Zhao Shuai to go up 2-0 at the start of this series, but nonetheless, he has 2-0 very quickly as well. At least with that, Zhanhun should be able to pick the next map, and I'm kind of interested to see, what his third pick will be here, and it's going to be Neo Sylphid. Not really a map I would have expected him to pick, to be honest with you. This is a very deadly map for 973 from Zerg, so maybe not the most optimal pick all the time, but either way, it's it's a map that at least he's played a ton on, and probably has something up his sleeve here. against Zhao Shuai. But we are ready to get into game number 3 here on Neo Sylphid. John Hoon versus Zhao Shuai. Here we go. And spawning. Mid left as the red Zerg. Once again, we have Little Handsome.
And in the bottom right. I mean, he's got to win here. Otherwise, he's going to the loser's bracket. And that's a doomsday bracket to be in. It is John Hoon. And I don't find it surprising that we see Sylphid here. Because as you stated, he's had to have played hundreds, if not thousands, of games on this map. I think it really came down to whether he was comfortable on Sylphid or Vermeer. Those are the more standard maps. I don't think we're seeing Gladiator. I don't think we're seeing Longinus. If he had picked Monopoly, I don't think that would have been a bad choice, because Monopoly, as you stated, like, you can get picked apart easily, but at the same time, if you're ever out of position, it's hard to, counter a counterattack. So no surprise to see Sylphid. We do see another forward pylon and another instant scout, and he is going to find him first.
Yeah, this is, other than the first game where we saw that cannon rush, this is the first time he's actually just doing an instant scout after pylon. I really like this. His tournament life is on the line here. Let's try, it's kind of a smart decision to just get as much intel as you possibly can. We actually saw that probe run out too quickly.
He missed it.
He did miss it. That's really unfortunate, and very unlike John Hoon, I gotta say. This is maybe not the call he wanted.
Is this a Nexus? Is this a Nexus? No, please don't be a Nexus. Okay, it's a Forge. Okay. Thankfully, I mean, this was so close to being a Nexus timing. I thought we were going to have an overpool into Nexus, and overpool, I mean, that's quick enough, right? Like, it will just kill you. So, luckily for John Hoon, he does put down that Forge. And now that he sees that, hey, Zerg's not top middle, I mean, he's going to be kicking himself, because he could have gotten, obviously, intel onto the build order, but he could have also pylon blocked his natural.
Yeah, if anything, it's just kind of a wasted scout. We still see that Nexus before cannon, even though, not being able to recognize with that first scout exactly what this is, but it will pay off. Only 2 Zerglings in production here for Zhao Shuai. Probe getting immediately surrounded. Wow, if that drone had spit on it there, it would have died.
Yeah, he got very lucky that was not an A-moved drone. Instead, it is just going to barely survive with like 5 health. Drone to be sent to top left, and he's going to take his 3rd base at the mineral only, so not going to take the high ground base. Haven't played Sylphin in a long time, but I'm wondering whether the mineral field count is the same, like on the high ground versus the mineral only. We can see there's 7 there, but like, is there 8 if he had taken the 1 right next to it?
I want to say it's 7, but don't quote me on that. I think they're even in mineral count. What that makes me think is 973, right? Like, there's no advantage to taking that mineral only versus the mineral gas base of that top left, other than just the rush distance between 3rd and Protoss's natural, but we actually see that it's a lair. So disregard everything I said.
Yeah, just normal openers from both players. Cybernetics is about halfway done, so Spire and Stargate timing are going to be pretty normal. Speed being upgraded for Zhao Shuai. He's got only just 2 lings, but on this map, I think it's fine, because you can just hold position a ling right there, and you can never get back in, I don't think, unless you just... Okay, of course. Ignore what I just said, Machine, just like you. Ignore what was just stated. The probe just sneaks in, and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to full scout this.
Let's see how many more times we can jinx the players.
Yeah.
Probe scouting in, seeing that lair, so he's going to know exactly what's going on here. Is John Hoon. More lings in production, and if you're John Hoon after the first 2 games, you're a little worried seeing any amount of Zerglings here.
Yeah. Look at that Zealot. It just instantly turned around. He's like, nope, I'm not moving out, bro.
Yeah.
I'll just hang out right there.
Not this time. I mean, this is a lair. Stargate going down here for Jeonhoon. Citadel as well. That second gas even being mined. So, you know, he doesn't seem super concerned about any type of all-in play quite yet from Zhao Shuai.
Well, this Citadel was pretty damn fast. It was like a 430 Citadel, and there's not that many Zealots, so I think this is going to be fast Templar Archive into fast DT. I can't imagine it being like, you know, fast Citadel. Okay, well, I was going to say fast Citadel into speed off of just one gate, but that's one way to catch up in terms of production. It's going to be a second gate in his main, so these 3 to 4 Zealots are going to turn into like 8 or 9 when he moves out.
I think it seems like this is like the Bisu, like 1/1, like +1 air weapon, +1, you know, Zealot timing, which could be a good call here. That third base that's been taken, there's a lot of area for, you know, Zealots to really surround Hydralisks, surround Zerglings and Sunkens. So we'll actually, but we see that in Zhao Shuai with wonderful building placement there. I really like that Evo chamber. He's got a little pocket to put a Sunken in, and it should be able to defend the base quite well. So Zhao Shuai playing very well so far.
Yeah, really looks like there's no angle to attack into for Protoss. So wonder what his follow-up's going to be. Is he going to flood gates? Is he going to try and expand off of his, you know, off of his high Zealot count in the early stages? He's still ramping up that Corsair count. It's up to 3. He needs to really get up to at least 5. And he is going to move out now. But look at that +1 timing. It's still got about a minute left. So if he goes right now, I think this is kind of an anti-timing for him.
Yeah, this definitely wouldn't be optimal. I think maybe he's just trying to get some scouting info, push off some of these Zerglings, and maybe start Hydra production a little preemptively, but no, we actually see he's just going for it with these 6 Zealots. There is a good amount of Hydralisk and Zerglings so far, though. I don't really see this doing much damage for Jeonhoon.
Well, there's no Sunken at the third base. I've been watching the whole time. Okay, instead he's just gonna put.
Ooh, still good placement. He will be able to pick off.
This.
Man. Hydralisk almost falling there at the third, and Jeonhoon going to be forced to retreat.
3.
I think Nyoken's gone full lawnmower man here.
Go for that instead of a Sunken.
And Hydra range is being researched, though. A couple Zealots moving into the natural mineral line, picking off a few drones for their efforts. And Zhao Shuai going to be forced to lose a little bit of more mining time here, but that is quite a lot of Hydralisks. High Templar at the natural already. Lots of cannons being placed at the natural as well. So it looks like he's gearing up to defend this Hydralisk timing.
I think I'm back. Yeah, hey, just lagged out a little bit.
You're all good, you're all good. You're back. So big Hydra timing coming in, though. It looks like from Zhao Shuai. I don't know. I think this is too many Templar. I think this is too many cannons. Not really expecting him to get a whole lot done here, but we'll have to wait and see. No Storm's going down. Storm was forgotten. Oh no, you hate to see it. No Storm. We have 4 fake Templars just sitting up front, watching their entire base just get ransacked by these Hydralisks. All the Templars going to end up falling here for Jeonhoon. And yeah, I think he's maybe even done it. At this point, Zhao Shuai could just continue to rally in with Hydralisks. And I don't think there's a whole lot Jeonhoon's going to be able to do about it. We see the worker count is 31 for Zhao Shuai to the 33 of Jeonhoon and falling. More cannons falling as well. We do see an Overlord getting picked off there by a couple Corsair, but still, here comes the secondary flood of Hydralisk across the map. At least we have Storm now, but there's just nothing left to defend. Oh my goodness, though. Massive Storm going down, blanketing on top of these Hydralisks. But there's just not enough units now.
Yeah, there's just not enough for Protoss. So this counterattack from Zhao Shuai just huge. He's got an even worse.
Yeah. It's just doing massive, massive damage here to this Protoss player. John Hoon, man, who would have expected 0-3 here to Zhao Shuai? Zhao Shuai showing he is a force to be reckoned with here in this tournament. And GG is called there from John Hoon. It looks like the series will be taken by Zhao Shuai in a sweep. A very convincing 3-0. You know, we saw even that game number 1, that cannon rush placement at Butter was quite an interesting play. Gave John Hoon a significant lead there early, but Zhao Shuai, man, he's got that killer instinct. Like Naokin was saying, he's like a July Zerg. If he smells blood in the water, he just goes for it, and it ends up being the right call. All 3 games, it feels like. So very well done there from Zhao Shuai. He will continue to move on through and advance in that winner's bracket, I believe, to the winner bracket finals already. So incredible play. I definitely look forward to seeing more and more of that Zerg player to come. But yeah, John Hoon, man, unfortunately going to be moving down to that lower bracket, very much unexpected. We're seeing more and more of these Chinese players turning out for BSL, and we're starting to get a little more familiar with the scene there in China, and it's clear there's definitely some depth of competitive top tier players on the field there. So very, very well done once again to Zhao Shuai. 3-0 victory in that best of 5, and yeah, very, very well done. And with that, I think we're going to go to a quick 3-minute break. So get up, stretch your legs, everybody, grab some coffee, and we'll have some more competitive BSL Brood War action coming right after this. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to BSL15 Asia Championships Playoffs Day, number 2 here. You guys just saw Zhao Shuai take down John Hoon in pretty incredible fashion there. 3-0, man. What'd you think of that series, Naukin? That was pretty incredible stuff, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was aggressive lane play. But the Sylphid game with the Hydras, I mean, he hit at the right timing. Like I said, you could tell this guy has the killer instinct simply because... Just because of how he's reacting. You know that when he sees an opening, he's going to go for it. And that makes him dangerous in future series. Like, he doesn't necessarily have to play like that. But people have to keep that in mind whenever they do play him. And it does set up the Doomsday scenario. That means John Hoon or Mihu or both are going to be eliminated. Like, they're gone, man. Like, and that just proves how strong the China region is. I've been looking at the MMR every time we see the profile comes up. It seems like every single Chinese player we see, at least 2,500. Zhao Shuai even said 2,600. Like, that's literally top of the top in the foreign scene, and it seems like every Chinese player is there.
Yeah, I mean, you're very on track there. It's clear that there's so much depth to this China region, right? It's not just Mihu, it's not just John Hoon, and we're really starting to see that, I feel like, for the first time here. Zhao Shuai already in that upper bracket finals, as you guys can see. John Hoon, Mihu moving in to that lower bracket, where they will potentially face off as long as Mihu continues to progress. But yeah, on the other side of this upper bracket semifinals, we are going to be getting into our next winner series here. It is BusTerran versus DuGu. DuGu, the Mihu Slayer, taking that very convincing 2-0 series in yesterday's event. And then obviously we got the Bus man. He's back.
The bus. Get on the bus. He's going to carry you to victory.
Honk, honk.
I have to say that I do like BusTerran's style because he played a normal game on Vermeer, but then he pulled out the terror style on Sylphid, and he did exactly what I said. Remember, I said he's going to use the Vulture to soak the sunken hits? That's exactly what he did. And when you face someone like Terror, who can play macro, but then also cheese the hell out of you, this is somebody that is mega dangerous. You have absolutely no idea. It doesn't matter what the scouting report says on him, because you have no idea what's coming. And DuGu's, I wouldn't be surprised if DuGu opens with some type of pool opener every game, simply because he's worried about, BBS, 8 racks, or any other type of shenanigan.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. We did not see a pool opener out of DuGu in the prior series versus Mihu, but just because BusTerran has been throwing in so many of these 8 racks, BBSs, and funky one-off builds, you get a little intimidated as Zerg. Sometimes you want to cut that econ in lieu of that safety pool early on. But yeah, we're going. It's actually going to be Butter here on game number 1. It should be a pretty interesting map here. Two-player map. Not a whole lot of potential for like super aggressive play, I'd say, unless you're really fully committing with like double proxy BBS or something like that. So this is going to be an interesting one. But it sounds like we are ready to get into our first match of this best of 5 series between the Bus here and DuGu, and let's get to it. Spawning at the top right as that red Zerg, the Mihu Slayer himself, it is DuGu.
Pin on in the bottom right. It is the Bus, Mr. BusTerran.
The Bus, man. Get on the bus. Get on the bus. All right. So two-player map. Butter. How do you feel about Butter for Terran versus Zerg?
I think this is going to be the new Eclipse map. I don't see anything that makes me think that this is anything much different than Eclipse, other than, I guess, third base being on the high ground, like I don't think Zerg's going to go overpool into 3 hatched, which we see quite often on Butter, but is this a wall? Hopefully it is. And if this is a wall, I'm already loving BusTerran's opener. Now that depot is above the egg, so this can't be a complete wall anymore. So I guess this is just going to be barracks at the bottom and then non-stop Marines?
Maybe? Yeah, I was a little surprised by that myself, honestly. Not sure what he's going for there with that wall off, because it can't be a complete wall, like you said. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Can he put a depot like to the right there?
Yeah, actually, now that I'm looking at it, I think right where Zero's putting his cursor, he should have been able to build a depot. But Butter's a map that's not in the ladder, which means I have not played it that often. But maybe you actually just can't wall there. Maybe you can only wall the natural. But again, we've got a fast SCV coming out, and this time around not going to be for the fast depot. It is just going to be a scouting SCV.
Yeah, quite a big map, you know, a lot of distance between the naturals, so maybe it's a good thing he's just getting that SCV scout out, or you know, out of the way early in case it's some type of funky pool play or something like that. But obviously we know that's not the case. You know, one thing that I think about on Butter for this matchup is versus Terran as a Zerg player is there's no ramps leading to the third, right? And most bases, minus like a couple of them, have at least 2 entrances leading to each of the bases. So it's not as simple as just getting a couple lurkers on this map and, you know, placing them down on the top of a ramp to hold a base or something like that. We'll have to see if that comes into play this game when Bus starts getting a little more aggro in this mid game.
If we do see Command Center coming down, and again, pretty darn fast gas for the Bus. And there's the depot, so it can be a wall set up right there. Now remember, we saw Fast Academy follow up from him, but I mean, really, these type of gas timings look like factory or look like eBay, but we don't see the eBay. We don't see the Academy. I think if we were going to see Academy, it could be mech, but I guess you never really know with this guy. He's floating a decent amount of minerals. It still could be an Academy. The 325 Academy is still fine, but there it is. There's the factory this time around. And you have a lot of options with this. You could just scale into 111. You could scale into delayed Wraith, I guess. But more than likely, we're going to see just delayed Goliath play.
We do have a lair at the natural here for DuGu. 4 Zerglings already been produced. Drone count is starting to rise, though. It's 14 drones to 19 SCVs. Bus already with, I think, the amount of Marines he'll need to kind of bend off this Ling pressure. Actually, I say that, and more Lings flooding across the map. This is speed first. This is 12 Lings, I think?
I'm not too sure about this move. I realize Terran doesn't have that much DPS, but okay, well, I guess there's like 2 openings right there. There's an SCV between the eggs, so actually it looks like Butter has been modified where you can't full wall off the natural. I know you could in the past because I remember watching Rush do that, so maybe this is an edited version, but definitely there's double gap there. So I guess that's why we see DuGu going for the speed lanes, but for now this is not worked out at all for him, and it really doesn't hurt BusTerran's build at all. I think second factory's gone down. Oh, that's Starport. So we're going to have a drop, maybe, but it should be Valkyrie because the dropship shouldn't be in time.
Yeah, I don't think... I feel like this isn't going to be drop, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. I wonder why Zerg didn't even try to commit to, you know, killing off this Marine or the SCV at the wall. If you already make the Zerglings, right, like, you want to try to get some kind of a trade for him, but he seems content with just hanging on to his 14, 16 Zerglings or so.
Yep, and we do see DuGu taking that third base at mid-right. As you pointed out, there is double ramp there, so you can't just put lurkers on one side. You do have to be cautious in order to defend that base. But vultures have been shown, so now Zerg knows that this was a tuck play, and you gotta land that Rax, and that was phenomenal timing, not only landing it, but also saving the vultures. But it does force double bunker. Now, You got to remember, when you play like this, you don't know what Zerg is doing. And a lot of times when you see a lot of Lings like this is going to be Lurker. So going for the double bunker, that's actually a smart move from Bus here. We know that this is not a Lurker follow-up and instantly cancels. Now that the Lings are gone, you would never suicide Lings if you're going Ling Lurker. So I think that was a great cancel.
Yeah, I think that did end up being a pretty good cancel. Sunken just starting, so it looks like Bus going to be able to get into the natural here and start dealing some damage to this drone line. Muta's forced to be pulled on defend here, and we even see 2 Scourge already from DuGu, so this is a perfect read from our Zerg player.
Well, this turret placement, okay, now he's ramping up the turret placement. I thought it was just going to be 1 at each, but now we see double, triple turret coming down all over the place with Valkyrie support. And remember, Zerg doesn't know what it is, but he should have an idea that it could be Valkyrie. So I love the Scourge, but he's got to be careful not to lose him. The Muta's already popped one of the turrets, and the second one doesn't complete. So this counterattack with the Mutas is fantastic.
Wow, yeah, already taking out those 2 turrets and SCV. He's right on top of the starport. And I mean, what if he kills the starport, right? We do have 2 Valkyries completed, but we've also got Scourge from the Zerg player. If he's able to stay on top of this starport and prevent any more Valkyries, he could be, then our Terran would be in some serious trouble here.
That's another great pickoff onto the Vulture. What I'm noticing from Bus is he's floating a ton of resources. Like, he has the money to put down at least 2 factories, but he hasn't even started it just yet. Oh, okay, that's why, because he wants to go into Vessel, but he has such a lack of production. If he loses even just one of his Valkyries, he could potentially just get broken here. I mean, imagine if he loses the starport, like you said.
Yep.
Goliaths aren't going to stop it because he only has 1 factory. He doesn't even have the upgrade for them either.
Ooh, very nice volley. Oh, I don't know why he stopped there. Oh, 1 more Valkyrie going down here from Bus. And that's huge, right? You need to keep that Valkyrie count pretty healthy when you're going 1-1-1, or you could be in some serious trouble. Hydra
Bus is,
speed.
yeah, Bus is in big time trouble because he sees that there's no factories, there's no racks. If I'm Zerg here, I would be doing exactly what he's doing. It's like, well, wait a minute, man. You gotta have some production. If I just build Hydras, do you just lose? Like, Valkyries can deal with my Mutas, but they're not gonna hit ground. Somehow, a couple of Vultures get out into the middle of the map. They're gonna lay some mines. But if you have an overwhelming amount of Hydras, even if they run into mines, they should be able to kill them. But I am worried that this barracks flood could potentially be a little bit too late.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, honestly. This drone count has not increased, though, from DuGu. It's been 22 drones for quite some time now. We even see 53 SCVs from Bus, still floating plenty of minerals as well. 1 Vulture getting in behind this mineral line here. Ooh, starting to do some damage, and DuGu not able to react yet, maybe focusing a little too heavily on the Muta control. And yes, another drone falling.
Well, this is going to put DuGu basically all in, and all Bus really needs to do now is bunker like he's doing and get his unit count up. He's got 5 barracks. He's got massive econ in general, not just relative to DuGu. Like, it's just massive on 2 bases. And as long as the Mutas don't pick off enough Marines, he should be able to hold this counterattack and end up taking this game.
Scourge are falling without a connection there. Hydra's still being rallied across the map. Either way, we're going to see a win or a loss here momentarily. Only 2 Marines in the bunker. It doesn't look like Bus is quite ready for this. Hydra's starting to get on top of these bunkers, dealing a little bit of damage. Tank coming in to try to assist as well. We haven't seen the Mutas enter the fight just yet. Scourge going on top of these Valkyries, taking down a single Valkyrie. And yeah, I think he's done it. There's no Marines in this bunker. That is so many Hydras moving in here to the natural. This is very significant damage being done to Bus.
Yeah, and I don't know how DuGu pumped out this many Hydras on 22 drones, or 19 drones actually, but he is going to hit at the exact time. Like, look, he had siege mode, he had a bunch of Marines, all of his 6 barracks come up, and it's just barely not in time. You just pop that tank, and DuGu, I would say he's just going to steal a win from Bus here.
I think he is, actually. Hydra getting irradiated, but being pulled off and morphed into a lurker. Good control here from DuGu. And yeah, with all these Hydralisks on top of this barracks, it's not looking great here for Bus, but Bus able to get a single siege tank out. Ooh, it looked a little scary there for a second. Siege tanks do significant damage to Hydralisks. But yeah, SCVs being pulled here, slowly starting to dwindle that SCV count, but we have a completed lurker now in the main of Bus. And GG is called there from the Bus. Wow, wow. Very nice play there from DuGu. Just doing that really low eco Muta into a Hydra transition once he recognized it was 1-1-1. Very nicely done. I was actually expecting Bus to be able to hold that timing, but even with the 3 bunkers, it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, getting that turret and then denying the second turret in the middle of his base was clutch there, because it just slowed down everything. And if Bus had even, I think, 15 more seconds, which is 1 more round of Marines, I think he could have held the initial Hydra attack. So clutch timing from DuGu, because he was all but done. I mean, he had no econ, he had no tech really. So just an absolutely perfect timing from DuGu, and just steals one from Bus.
Yeah, very much reminds me of the Zhao Shuai timings, right? Like, he smells the blood, he sees weakness, and he's just going for it. Like, it's full committal, win, lose, or draw. He's rallying everything to you, and he, comes out the victor there. So very, very nicely done. Great game 1 out of DuGu. And with that, it is the Bus's map pick. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what he ends up opting for here. Do any maps stand out to you in the map pool as being pretty decent for Terran against Zerg here?
I like all of them, actually. Except for Gladiator. I think except for Gladiator, I would probably pick Overwatch, because 2-player map, you can wall it, you can power. You've got the image of being this player that can pull out all types of builds. It's a map that you're going to have to suicide an Overlord in to figure out what they're doing. Who was it? Jedi just did on Sylphid, and then he still lost. I think you got to pick Overwatch here, but it wouldn't be surprising to see Sylphid. Wouldn't be surprising to see Vermeer.
Okay. No Longinus with that double gas?
I mean, I like Longinus, but maybe not Terran versus Zerg. Because think about this. Terran gets a third, or Zerg gets a third base at top middle or mid left or one of the high ground bases. They don't even need a 4th base because it's got 4 gas right there. But if it was Terran versus Protoss, hell yeah, I'm picking Longinus. Because if I get that base, that's 4 gas Terran, and I don't gotta defend very much.
It's funny you say that, because prior to casting these series, I thought the same thing. And then I looked at the win statistics for TVZ on Longinus, and it's like 70% for Terran. And I was like, what? How is that possible?
Terran versus Zerg?
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's really surprising.
Well, I would be curious how up to date those stats are, because in the past, like if it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would believe that. But these days, if you told me Longinus was a 70% win rate TVZ, I don't know if I would believe you. But I mean, I feel like modern builds are just so streamlined now. I just can't imagine it being 70%. I can't imagine even being like 55% for Terran, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, maybe it's a little bit of outdated stats. It's been a while since we've seen that map, so in a map pool, so kind of interesting here. But yeah, BusTerran versus DuGu. We'll have to see what map Bus selects, and it is Longinus. Wow. Yeah, let's see here. TVZ 70-33 with that 68% win percentage for Terran. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of, like I said, a little odd. I was not expecting this before, I obviously just saw the stats, but it seems BusTerran kind of agreeing with it here. He will end up selecting it for this game number 2. And it looks like we are ready to get into it, folks. This is going to be BusTerran versus DuGu, game number 2. Here we go. And spawning mid-right as the blue Terran, it's the Bus.
Yep, and in the bottom middle are red Zerg. It is DuGu, and I have to say, my heart sank seeing the Bus in mid-right because that is a mineral line that is exposed on the top side, exposed on the bottom side, exposed on the mid side. Think about all the turrets he has to build at a spawn like this. Like, you just have to build so many. So when you spawn on a map like this at mid-right, like it's not like bottom middle, right? Or not like top left. Really, you want top left as Terran. That's the ideal spot. But when you get a spawn like this, I feel like you got to be proxying. Like this has to be an 8 racks, or we're going into Goliath play, because Goliath play can at least cover a lot of ground with their huge range missiles. And there's no 8 racks. So if I was Zerg here and saw that this was the spawn, I would be guessing that this is Goliath play. But it's the Bus. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I feel like we get to see everything he's doing and we still don't know sometimes. So he's, he's definitely been throwing not just us off, but his opponents so far in these series. This is not quite going to be a complete wall, right? Like, I don't think you can put a depot in between the that depot and barracks there. So will be a little bit of a gap, but still not the biggest deal. This is actually a 12 hatchery, most likely followed by 11 pool, 10 gas from DuGu. Typical 2 hatch opener from our Zerg.
Yep, and you can wall if you put the depot back one, but not sure if he's going to do that. But there's the gas as expected. Now, that looked like an 11 gas to me. I could be wrong because I didn't see it exactly, but that does cut into your econ just slightly. Maybe it's not an 11 gas, more that I'm looking at it, but not surprised to see tech here. I feel like it had to be either one, 8 racks or you're teching, and this time around it is going to be the tech play.
Yeah, so once again with that tech play, I wonder if he kind of favors the gas openers in this matchup here. Be a little interesting. SCV turning around from top left, so something must have keyed him off that DuGu is bottom left, which we obviously know that's the case. Oh, that is a full wall off with the second depot there, so nicely done.
He does. There is a gap right there with the SCV. Longinus is the map that I haven't played in a long time, but I think if you build the barracks down into the right one and then put the depot where it's supposed to be directly beneath the first one, I think that's a full wall, but could be wrong. But regardless, it limits a lot of the area that you can get out of your base anyways. I mean, it's just a tiny exit. But we see that the Bus, okay, he did pull off of gas. I saw that he still had 100 more, and I was curious, was he still mining with 2 or 3 on gas? But it looks like he is just going to expand behind this.
Yeah, it looks like it will be Expo from our Terran here. First Vulture already underway. Obviously, Bus, is able to get that SCV scout off, knows exactly what he's up against here, scouting for drone count, and sees the sunken building at the natural. DuGu wisely putting down that sunken to prevent this Vulture run by, which can be really devastating in this matchup early on.
Yep, now we already saw him transition into 1-1-1 with Valkyrie into Vessel, which was quite interesting. Don't see... Okay, is there a building at the top side of his base? I don't think so. So for now, okay, it is going to be Armory. That means that this should be a second factory as opposed to a starport. Look at that Ling block. That was perfect to get the third shot off onto the sunken. And I love how also I think the SCV soaked up one shot. That was a genius move, but also equally genius play from the Ling.
Yeah, that was a very, very nice hold there. Even like the initial pulling the SCV to the side of the ridge to allow that Vulture to pick off the initial Zergling, some pretty phenomenal decision making and execution there from both of our players.
Second factory has started, so it is going to be the Goliath play. Now, always the question is, what type of Goliath play is it? Because of what we've seen in BSL, I feel like it's probably going to be 5 fact, but it could be starport vessel follow-up. But if you're going to go into Vessel Follow-Up and go into the heavy upgrades, you got to get that second gas pretty soon because it's so reliant on gas that if you don't get it early, you're not going to have 2-1, or you're not going to have vessels, or you're not going to have a radiate. Like, something's got to give. So the fact that there's no second gas by now, thinking that this is going to be 5-fact?
Just like mass Goliath pressure, you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, we're just going to go for it. Now, more players end up getting +1 weapon, but remember there was a time where people were getting +1 armor and moving up because +1 armor is actually just straight up tankier, but +1 weapon obviously allows you to kill mutas in your base faster. So wonder if he's going to get +1 weapon, but if he's going for the timing, well, he's got to get something, right? He's not upgrading at all.
Yeah, that's a mistake. That's definitely got to be a mistake here from the Bus. I'm a fan of the +1 armor with this mech play, or even like I've seen Terrans that wait for 1-1 and then attack as well. I don't know if that's a thing, you'd probably know, but it seems strong anyway.
Yeah, well, BusTerran, if he's going to go for a timing, he's really missing his upgrades. You really wanted to have started at, I think, 5:30, because that gives you around the 10:15 sweet spot 1-1 timing that you're talking about. There's +1 weapon, but that's going to be a 9-minute +1, and that's kind of an in-between timing, to be honest. Now, we do see that DuGu has not taken a third base, so it may not matter, but I am still worried here. But because the drone count is so low, I think Bus is still in a fine position. I mean, DuGu really needs the drone, because this Hydra attack that he's going for kind of has to do crippling damage. Like, he doesn't have 5 hatch, like it's not ZVP. He just has 3 hatch, and that's it. And that's really not a lot of production.
He's too committed at this point. I don't think there's any backing out of this Hydra timing in order to, try to save face. This has just been too many drones cut for too long. Muta's, I gotta say, picking up a good amount of SCVs here at the natural, really getting some work done. But it's all gonna come down to this Hydra timing.
Yeah, and that's even with Goliath with range. Even that, the Muta's still got off multiple SCV kills, and they're pretty healthy too. Like, they could go in for round 2, round 3, and they also stayed alive. That's a key thing. They can soak up hits. Goliaths only deal half damage to Mutalists, so they can soak up a lot of hits. And there's not a lot of Marines in that bunker, so not a lot of DPS to help support. Factories, I think, are actually, I'm not sure if they're late or not, because I haven't done 5-fact in a long time, but they feel slightly late here, and this is really going to hurt Bus because he just doesn't have the unit count. Here come those Hydras.
Here they go. Hydras running in, picking off that bunker essentially for free here. Bus now realizing exactly what's going on here. This is a heavy committal, all-in Hydra timing from DuGu. DuGu getting on top of this Goliath force, and that's just so many Hydras now can...
Yeah, it's so many Hydras, and look, these 3 Goliaths don't help in the middle of the fight. There's also 3 Goliaths in the main also, I think, and instead he's just going to go for a counterattack because that's really all he can do, but he just taps out. There's just way too many Hydras, and this is what happens when you do kind of this in-between, middle-of-the-road build like we saw actually in Game 1 on Butter, and now Game 2, like an in-between upgrade. Like, he didn't even have +1 upgrade, +1 weapon, when he could have had armor if he had hit it right at 5:30, like I said. Like, this is what happens when you play middle of the road builds versus all-ins. Like, you can't do it. Like, you just get slaughtered.
Yeah, you really can't. I mean, hats off for DuGu to, maybe even just by making that call, right? Like, he at no point tried to even attempt to take that third base. Did a great job with the Muta pressure. And you know what? Just decided, let's try this Hydra timing. Let's make 3 hatcheries. Let's get down that Hydra den, and let's fully commit to this attack. And it ended up being the right call. So very well done there from our Zerg player DuGu. And that's going to be, once again, just a very quick 2-0 in this series. We're seeing these hyper aggro Zergs today, and it's just paying off, it feels like.
Yeah, and I would have to rewatch that game as a Terran because I would be thinking, like, okay, I don't think his Goliath count was low. I think maybe, if anything, he was missing like 1 or 2 simply because the 3rd and 4th factory were so slow. But I don't think it was like his Goliath count was abnormally low. But the third and fourth fact definitely were low. What I want to see, or what I would review, is like how many turrets did he build? Because every turret is 75 minerals. If you build 2 extra turrets, that's potentially the third factory going down, or 2 more Marines, or 3 more Marines, another bunker. And if you have that during the attack and all your Goliaths synced up, maybe he could have held. But DuGu, man, I don't know what triggered him to go low eco, or if that's just his go-to versus Goliath play, but it was the perfect call, and now he's 1 game away from setting us up for what I thought we would never see, which is a ZVZ final. Like, how does that happen when you have Mihu the killer? You got BusTerran, he's pulling out all types of stops. Then we had John Hoon, who actually just looked almost unstoppable last season.
Yeah, very, very true. I was kind of saying it, and you were saying it as well before we were even getting into this, but Mihu and John Hoon, just because of our prior knowledge for, the previous BSL season, were kind of our favorites. So to see them both move down to that lower bracket and see players like, DuGu, moving up towards close to the winner bracket finals is kind of surprising. But it just speaks to the depths of, the Chinese region here for these Asia qualifiers. So DuGu obviously up 2-0 at the moment. This will be another map selection here for the BusTerran. I kind of called that he was going Longinus the last game. I wonder what he'll pick here. And yeah, it's actually going to be Neo Sylphid. That's another map that you kind of mentioned, a big time favorite. I would expect to see more bio play here. I think on Sylphid it's a little more popular. So we might not be seeing the gas opener out of BusTerran on this game, but then again we might. We've seen it every other game, and actually now that I mention it, BusTerran did do that very odd gas opener into 3 racks bio play prior on this map. So he's got some options for sure here. But yeah, it sounds like we are ready to get to game number 3 here between DuGu and BusTerran, and here we go. And spawning mid-left as the red Zerg once again, we have DuGu.
Yep, and in the bottom right, down 0-2, it is BusTerran. And every time I see this map, I always think back to comments that Scan and Artosis make about top middle, how Terran can't win in that spawn. But, actually the spawn I hate the most is the spawn BusTerran got, which is bottom right. I find it so hard to build turrets at your natural. And even when I build them when I think it's in the right spot, somehow they block my mining of gas. Yeah. So already, I don't like Bus's position. I would like to see this depot be at the entrance. Just start off with a wall and kind of make DuGu guess what this is going to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be gas behind it. I'm not saying that. Just show him the wall and make him scared that it could be gas.
And it looks like he is going to end up taking your advice there. We see a depot going down at the wall, but this is a 9-pool Nyokin versus Terran. It's been a while since I've seen a 9-pool versus Terran. Kind of an interesting opener already here from our Zerg that's in the lead.
Yeah, I think this is probably DuGu thinking okay, well, this guy's played kind of normal-ish in the first 2 games. Now he's probably going to do something weird. And I think going for a 9-pool is a good move versus this. Kind of extreme, because if you don't run into something abnormal, well, then you're kind of just super low in econ. I think maybe a 10-pool, overpool, or a 12-pool could have been more okay, in terms of econ, but this is still going to be fine. It's going to force depot at the entrance, it's going to force Marines, it's going to actually push the SCV back also, and it's always dangerous for Terran not knowing what Zerg's doing.
Very, very true.
Double scout.
You don't see that very often either. But it will end up being the right call here with this 9-pool inevitably coming into play. DuGu taking the natural, also putting down a Vespian Geyser in the main. So he will be mining gas here shortly, but it is only 8 drones, and oh no! This is Zergling's going the wrong way, but there's actually something proxied in the center. It's a proxy factory.
He intercepted though. He should intercept it.
We should have, would have.
Oh my!
And yes, he's going to. How lucky, man. I don't even know what to say.
Oh my god. And behind this, look at this. He was continuing to mine gas too. So he was planning like starport follow-up probably behind it. This is one of those games where Artosis watches the replay and he's just like, oh, you won because you're bad. Like you didn't scout me and you just ran through the center. Oh no, you can't lift! Oh, the SCV blocked it from landing. Luckily for him, I would say. Oh my god, he got lucky that those lings didn't run it.
Yeah, if those 4 lings were there, that could have been potentially game-ending. As is, though, Bus going to scout the main here. He's forced to kind of stack that Vespian gas and go 3 racks opener in the main with Academy. So this will be a Bus timing from the Bus here.
And this is just pure mind game. You show the guy that you wanted to go for a proxy factory. This guy's going to be thinking that you're just going for another factory follow-up. So I think this is a clever move. However, his timing is obviously going to be way off. So the question here is, will DuGu have Sunkens in time? If he does, this is a 1-base Terran on 3 barracks with no transition. He's also floating a decent amount of gas because he wasn't planning for this move. And that hatchery kind of limits the amount of Sunkens you can build, so maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he is expecting gas, and that's the only, a gas opener, a factory opener, which is the only reason why you'd end up placing, that hatchery there. But actually, I really like this Overlord positioning here.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to scout that barracks continually blinking, and hopefully we'll get some semblance of an idea of what will be moving out from this Terran. We see a Spire placed in the wall at the Zerg Natural. That is definitely not optimal. Yep. Ooh, 3rd hatchery being canceled.
Yep, see, he knows that this is going to be a Marine Medic, and I love the hatchery cancel because, like I said, it could have really limited the amount of damage the Sunkens could have gotten onto the Marine Medic. So cancel there. Obviously, it's not ideal for him, but he does get up triple Sunken, and literally all he has to do is live. Like, I realize he doesn't have a lot of gas for mutas, he's not mining it, but Terran's really all in with this. Now, Terran, if he goes into factory play, 1 base, and Vessel, with a low eco Zerg, he can manage, but it's still just 20 SCVs to 20 drones.
So he's scanned and he's seen the 3 Sunkens. He knows there's a few Zerglings there as well. Do you gotta just go for it?
I think you gotta sit back and wait for Vessels. There's no way you're gonna bust it. Unless he builds, or like if he had 5 medics or something, maybe. But I mean, it's still 3 Sunkens, and you're on a clock. Like, as soon as the mutas pop, there's no way it's gonna work. He may end up going for it, but if he does, I don't like it. There's just not enough medic support.
Yeah, this is potentially BusTerran's, lifeline to the winner bracket here. So this is definitely one that counts. Stim going out.
He's gonna do it.
He might be going here in a second. And yep, Medic's leading the charge. Sunken's starting to do some damage here. Zergling's coming in, and we already have Muta on the high ground, picking the bottom, Marines off. And yeah, we're actually seeing DuGu holds quite easily.
Yeah, unfortunately for Bus, if it had been like instant barracks instead of the factory that got canceled and then barracks, like I think he could have had 1 or 2 more rounds of Marines or medics, and then maybe that would have been enough. But because everything was delayed, you can see that the window of opportunity was so slim, he wasn't able to get there before the 3 Sunkens complete, wasn't able to attack before the mutas get out, and now he's stuck on 1 base. He's still going to try and transition out of it. I think his only option is to go for Vessel. The eco of Zerg is, not the best, but it's still okay. Like, he's fine, especially now with map control, where he can take a 3rd base.
It's a lot better than Terrans, we'll say that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Gas, he's, close to even on that worker count, which is, not very typical for this matchup. If you're DuGu, you're feeling really good right now.
Yeah, and also after the factory died, I think Bus pulled off of gas because he realized, okay, well, this isn't going to work anymore. So now he's not even banking much gas for vessels and irradiates. So now he's really in a very, very awkward spot. He's going to have a starport, but can he afford irradiate? Can he afford the vessel? Not really. So he's just going to be stuck in his base this entire time, and it's Sylphid where your choke is super tiny. I can't imagine him like literally getting out onto the map for at least 4-5 minutes maybe.
Yeah, it's going to be quite some time, and I mean, DuGu's recognized that, right? He's already got a third hatchery going down at a third gas location. We're seeing some droning is starting to happen. No Queen's Nest yet. Actually, take that back. There is a Queen's Nest. No Hydrogen, though. So he could be looking to just go straight into Hive and maybe go for like a Greater Spire type play. Wow, very nice Muta control. This is very much what we saw against Mihu in their series. He just has this incredible understanding of Mutalist positioning and when and where he can poke. And suddenly, there's no bio left here for the Bus.
Yeah, and that was like max range shots from the Mutas too. Turret's gonna fall. Now there's complete access onto the barracks. +1 weapon kicking in for the Mutas pretty soon too. And this is gonna be the BusTerran being eliminated, or not eliminated, but being sent into the losers bracket of BSL. Unfortunately, his factory in the center of the map backfired once those lanes came through, and it's going to be DuGu completing it. It's going to be a ZVZ finals in the top side of the bracket.
Yeah, another Zerg decisive victory, 3-0 once again there for DuGu. I was questioning the 9-pool selection at the beginning of that game 3, but you know what? When you're playing someone like the Bus, sometimes it pays off. So very well done there from DuGu. Once again, we'll be moving on to that ZVZ finals to face off against our other top Zerg player. So yeah, that's going to be a pretty interesting one, and we'll be looking forward to that later on in the playoffs.
Yeah, and have we seen ZVZ really? Like, I mean, it's ZVZ. Everybody's going to be going Ling Muta anyways. But the question for me is, how aggressive are these players? So far, they've been very aggressive. Like, are we going to see 9-pool? Is anybody going to build a 12 hatchery? Is that possible? Like, is it just going to be one hatch play?
I think it's going to be a lot of one hatch play, a lot of Muta control, which, you tend to see at the higher levels of ZVZ anyway. But, there's no way to tell for sure until we actually sit down and see it, obviously. So yeah, that was, once again, just another incredible best of 5 series there between the Bus and DuGu. I think we're going to go to a quick 3-minute break here. And we'll have more Brood War action when we get back. So stay tuned, everyone.
when you lost. There's always a hope. Rise and fight.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to BSL15 Asia Championships. Yeah, we've had a pretty incredible bunch of matches here so far today. We just got to see our two winner bracket semifinals matches, and now I believe we're going to be moving back to some of these lower bracket matches. We had one final lower round, round one match up between Jedi and XuanXuan. So this one, definitely going to be a pretty interesting one. We've seen Jedi, Zerg player, play pretty phenomenally so far in some of these previous games. He'll be up against XuanXuan, so this is going to be kind of an interesting one here. The winner of this going on to play Mihu as well.
What a reward. You win your game. I mean, look at the top side of the bracket, then you get Mihu, and then if you win there, you get John Hoon. And then if you win there, you get the loser of Zhao Shuai versus DuGu, who seem to just be all in and unstoppable when they play that style. But Jedi versus XuanXuan, this should be a great matchup. Zerg versus Terran, right? If I remember correctly, XuanXuan, he played last season in BSL. He went Goliath almost every single game. And then in the final game that I saw him, he busted out the Terran medics, Marine medic play. And it looked even better than his Goliath. Now it's like, wait, what? You can play both of these? You're not just a one-trick pony mech player?
You had this the whole time and you didn't
use
it?
And you're not using this? Why would you not use this?
That's too funny. Yeah, we did see both these players play earlier on, in this tournament. It'll be kind of interesting to see how they match up. I'm trying to remember if XuanXuan's pretty much opened mech the majority of the time, and I can't really recall so far this series. But it looks like the map will be Neo Sylphid for this best of one. We've already seen plenty of ZVTs on this map so far today. Yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the game here. And spawning mid left as the blue Terran, we have XuanXuan. And spawning at the bottom right as the red Zerg, we have Jedi. So this is gonna be an interesting one here. We just saw a match, on these same spawns just reversed. So at least this time, our Terran player will be getting a better natural to place turrets at, but we'll have to see if he even opts to take it. In the last match, we saw Terran actually put a wall off at their natural, but hold that thought. This is a SCV moving to the center of the map. XuanXuan may be watching some bus replays, and this is going to be a center 8 racks to kick things off. Center 8 racks, definitely a scary opener here from Terran. And actually, it's not just a single 8 racks. This is going to be BBS in the center. So XuanXuan wasting no time in this best of one. He just wants to get down to it here, make a lot of Marines, and kill Zerg's players, man. Like, this is kind of a good call, I gotta say. It's going to go unscouted from that first Overlord. But fortunately for Jedi here, there will be a drone scout moving out towards most likely mid-left, which means he will potentially scout this, or at least recognize, hey, there's no barracks in the main base, so it's got to be somewhere else. But yeah, we're going to have to wait and see here. Yeah, SCV scouting towards 12 o'clock.
I'm back, Machine, and I'm happy that I just dropped at the beginning, and I come back and I see this BBS in the center, and this is really not a common build, Terran versus Zerg. Usually you just 8 racks in transition, and now he's going to come in here and see that this isn't all in. Like, this is not just an 8 racks. The SCV count is too low for that. But because of how uncommon BBS is, he may not recognize it. He may under respect the incoming push. Like, this is not 1, 2 Marines. It's going to be 4, 6, ramping up really quickly. Yeah, he doesn't respect it.
Yeah, he doesn't respect it. You really do not see this very often, which, yeah, you can't be mining gas or even really completing the extractor as a Zerg. We're seeing a creep colony going down in the main. I think he's going to cancel the natural here.
He needs to now. He needs to right now. Okay, thankfully he does. But that sunken placement, he needs another one at the bottom side of his... Yeah, right there. It's too late. It's too late. He can bunker at the bottom side, and not only can he range... I don't know if he can range the hatchery, but he can range half the mineral line.
Sunken is building at the bottom now. We have a completed Sunken up top, but obviously not able to really get much done. Okay, it does poke the SCV down a little bit. Oh. Big surround, though, with these drones and Zerglings. Maybe Jedi can hold here? This is going to be a little interesting.
He's got to pop the SCVs. Those Lings didn't help the whole fight! And now even if he does hold it, the SCV count is decent for XuanXuan here. However, he obviously has no wall, he has no depot nor anything, but the bunker manages to survive somehow through that sunken, and now it's over. He has 2 drones. Even if he continues to mine here and tries to play the game out, I mean, XuanXuan can play the game out. He can just rally Marines back to his main.
It looks like he can even slip Marines in the back of the mineral line and prevent all mining. This is just a frustrating way to go out as a Zerg. Looks like Jedi trying to counter, get a little bit of something done here with these 6 Lings. Drones scouting the center barracks. But I mean, what can you do, right? There's absolutely no mining to be done here from Jedi. Trying to rally, group some Zerglings here, and maybe go for a bust on this bunker once again. And here we go.
It's just not enough DPS.
Yeah, it's really not. That's just it. GG is called there from Jedi, and with it go his dreams of winning this season's BSL. So very well done there. Once again from XuanXuan, just making the tough calls, man. Going for that double BBS in the center of the map. I mean, today's just been the day of aggro, man. It's really just been rewarding our Zergs, our Terrans, just for being hyper aggro. Which has kind of been, it's been interesting to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's just one of those games as a Zerg, especially an elimination game, where you literally just want to throw your keyboard. Like, that's literally, I think, the worst way to lose to BBS. But hey, XuanXuan, he played it right. It was a great build order, got him the victory. And look what his reward is. He gets to play Mihu now. Amazing. He's so thrilled about that. But we're finally going to get a TVT, which I think could be actually one of Mihu's strongest matchups. Like, it's really good.
Yeah, Mihu, everything about Mihu seems really, really good. So XuanXuan going to have his work cut out for him here to be able to take Mihu in a TVT series. Because we're moving to the lower bracket round 2, I believe this will be a best of 3 and not the best of 1s for the lower rounds. So, at least there's going to be multiple attempts here from both of our players to try to take this series, and it won't just be a BBS, proxy BBS in the center of the map that kind of decides it. So yeah, I think our next match will be Mihu versus XuanXuan. Winner of that, once again, getting the reward of going up against Jonhoon, their incredible Protoss player. So yeah, this is gonna be a pretty interesting one, TVT.
Yeah, TVT, I'm trying to think, do I remember seeing XuanXuan play TVT last season? Nothing comes to mind. Really what stood out for me from him was the Terran versus Zerg, like I said, going Goliath almost every game until literally the last day where he played Marine Medic. And Mihu, Terran versus Terran, he's great, but you see that, 92% win rate he has? You know where that one loss came from? Came from the big chip man, took him down on good night. He put him to bed. But I have to say, Mihu's playstyle looked really good. The reason Gypsy was able to get the victory was he caught him out of position at a stage in the game where if you get caught out of position, it's a game-ending move. Like, you just can never get out of your base. So, despite that loss, Mihu plays the meta like the tank vulture style. XuanXuan's going to have a really tough time versus that. I mean, XuanXuan's a great player. I don't think I've seen him play TVT, but it's just such a solid build that it will be really tough for him, I think.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to kind of see how this one's going to play out. It looks like the map will be Longinus for the start of this series, and it seems like both of our players are ready. So let's go ahead and get into XuanXuan versus Mihu, game number 1. And spawning top left on Longinus as that blue Terran, it's XuanXuan.
And in the mid right, our red Terran, it is Mihu. And Longinus is an interesting map, especially for TVT. And I'm wondering, is anybody going to go gasless? And the reason I say this is because Mihu, he likes the macro, right? He wants to go big time macro, tons of factories. And I think he could be a gasless player. But when you play Longinus, you can siege buildings from outside of the player's base, depending where they put them. Like, you don't necessarily have to siege their net. Like, you can get right up and close to the ledge and potentially siege factories. So if we see somebody go gasless in this scenario, that could be pretty bad. But the more I'm looking at the positions, I don't think that's going to happen at mid right and top left. I guess it's more of a scenario potentially at bottom left. But Longinus is a very interesting TVT map. But all that doesn't matter because both players are just going for 12 gas.
Yeah, the other key feature, besides obviously the outside of the base and the main being on the same level, so you can obviously siege in, is there's no ramp leading into the main. And most modern maps have, some type of a ramp leading from like a low ground natural to a high ground main, not here on Longinus. So my thoughts, my little Zerg brain working on TVT says like heavy vulture pressure could be quite strong here, which I mean it is anyway, right? But no ramp, big wide open natural here, maybe something like a 3-fact vulture pressure could be strong. I don't know.
Yeah, 3-fact vulture is very meta. A lot of players cut for it. Low SCV count. You can get punished sometimes by Wraith play, but if the Wraith player, runs into an armory, well, all of a sudden you built these expensive Wraiths. You don't have map control. You've got low tank count, low Wraith count. You cede a lot of map control to the player that went Vulture Goliath. So I don't think we're going to see Wraith. Almost nobody plays that style. It's more likely just going to be 3-fact, but we could see something like 2-fact Tank Goliath or Vulture Goliath. We do see multiple Marines from XuanXuan, and that's something to note. If we see, a 1 base, 2-fact, and that's going to be interesting. If you watch Artosa's stream, he likes to go Vulture into Goliath, but you don't have to do that. You can build up until, I think, 34 supply, and then transition into a command center yourself, and it's actually pretty darn good. So we'll see what Mihu opts for here. He's only got 1 on gas, so it makes me think that this might be an expansion.
SCV moving into the natural here and the main of Mihu, going to scout the 2 factory. If you're XuanXuan and you see this already, what are you thinking?
Bunker. I'm thinking build a bunker and shut this down, and that's an add-on. So now I'm kind of confused what this is, because add-on, you're not mining gas. Is it for mines? I mean, you're not gonna get speed, especially when you see a bunker already being built. So to me,
Siege.
I was thinking that it's gonna be siege, but you know what you need for siege? You gotta have tanks and you gotta have siege mode, obviously, but you need gas. Okay, that's speed. I just don't see how speed helps you here, though. So to me, this feels like build order massive advantage for XuanXuan.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't quite see the wall with that scouting SCV yet, so maybe it is just a little bit of a misread. either way, he will see the bunker. He knows, exactly what's going on now, and actually cancel speed for the mine. Probably a good call, as you said, given the scenario.
Yeah, I think this is much better, and I don't think it's as big of a lead as I was stating, because Command Center is obviously later for Mihu, but Bunker, that's 100 minerals. eBay, that's another. It completed, actually, so he can't cancel that and put down a factory instead. So that's actually, I would say, probably an even trade here for Mihu. He's going to have map control with the mine, so may actually even have an advantage here, because you're not feeling confident as Terran moving out onto the map into mines until your academy's done. And there's no academy. That's an expensive building also. And he's building an armory because he doesn't know what this is. It could be, I guess, a starport follow-up. That would be a bit weird, but he's gotten an armory anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could. I would be a little confused, but I like your analysis of, the mines giving that map control. Even though he is maybe behind on the economic front here, he's got these forward mines that are scouting anything that moves out of base. And, if XuanXuan gets a little sloppy with like a tank move out, he could potentially even lose a tank to those mines. Okay, Marine does scout that there are mines on the map, and one Marine does fall.
Yeah, you definitely got to be very careful as Terran. I once saw a clip of a handsome Turkish man step on a landmine, and his whole vulture army got exploded. You can find that clip on Eskia's stream. It killed the most vultures I've ever seen. And actually, Mihu's going to be the one that's aggressive. I guess he realizes that, hey, dude, you don't have any map control. You spent a lot of resources on an eBay and a bunker that don't help you. You probably got siege. And now I can just contain you. And this is TVT. Like, there's no unit like a Zealot that can soak up a lot of hits. You don't have an overwhelming amount of units like Zerglings. This may never get broken, actually.
Siege halfway completed here for Mihu. XuanXuan, though, has the quicker siege and is actually getting out on the map a little bit to be a little more aggressive. Probably the right call. He's just preventing the contain. I kind of like this here for XuanXuan. But Mihu moving in against these siege tanks, mines going down behind the siege tanks as well. And actually, that went way better for Mihu than I thought it was going to.
well, that's the problem, is he had the siege mode advantage, like you said, but does siege really matter when you just don't have any units? Like, he also didn't have vision of the mines. I mean, XuanXuan had to make that move. Like, he had to get out in front of his base, because if he doesn't, then he's in this scenario where he's definitely never getting out. The only way he could have gotten out is if he had somehow gone 2-fact and then went into Starport and built race. That would have completely caught Mihu off guard, because you can see he has no anti-air. But that would just be such a weird follow-up. Also, I'm not sure what the barracks saw. Like, the barracks was in the base the whole time, right? So he knew exactly what XuanXuan is doing. And now there's 6 tanks here right outside your base with 5-fact follow-up. There's literally no way XuanXuan can get out unless he pulls SCVs. And even that's, I don't think, is enough. I think it's too late for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm out of options here too, right? He's got the worst position for sure, already contained. It's not like Mihu's not powering off, off of his 2 bases so far. He just wants to hold this contained now, if at all possible. I mean, my only thoughts are maybe just get a starport and hope you get some drop damage done or something, right? But attacking straight out into this giant arc of siege tanks from Mihu can't be the answer.
Yeah, well, that's the only thing he can do is go starport and go for it. Well, he's going to go for it. But look, there's 4 tanks. Where's your damage here? It's not in SCVs. It's not in vultures. And he just instantly taps out because this is just an unbreakable contain. And that was absolute perfection from Mihu right there. XuanXuan had to make that move. I can't stress this. He had to make the move, because you can see if he doesn't, that's what happens. And it still didn't matter. Just the positioning was too late. I think he spent too much resources on the eBay, the bunker, and also the armory didn't help him, because, I mean, he knew it was a 2-fact. There's no air coming, at least I don't think so. And it's just too much wasted resources, and Mihu was just heavily committed to ground, obviously.
I'm having a difficult time even like really pinpointing where XuanXuan went wrong with that recognition, right? Like he did the diligent thing, he got the SCV scout in the main, saw the 2 factory, has the faster natural command center, has like good tech. His siege was earlier even. I don't know, it was just very interesting, but obviously very well executed there from Mihu.
Yeah, very well done from Mihu, and now he's up 1-0. And remember, this is not best of 5. He's 1 game away now for making it in. And now XuanXuan really needs to pull out something special here, but he's going up against current BSL champion. It's going to be so tough. And like I said, Mihu, he's got killer. I mean, he's got killer Terran versus everything, but his TVT looked really good in all the games that I've seen from him, even though it's very limited games. And you can see that when he recognizes that, hey, I can get into a killer position, he's just going to capitalize on that. And he wasn't over aggressive. He didn't push the advantage, even though he had a tank lead. He didn't say like, okay, well, I could move in here and pop a tank maybe, but if I do that, I might lose all my tanks. I might overextend. Instead, he just sat there, compounded his lead, knowing that there's no way this guy can get out. And that's exactly what you should do in TVT.
And it looks like our map number 2 here, XuanXuan's pick will be Vermeer. Definitely a map we've seen throughout these series. Lends itself to be more of like a bigger macro oriented play. So, XuanXuan not looking like he's too intimidated from that game number 1. Just kind of wants to get into more of a standard TVT, it seems. And we are ready to go, folks. It's going to be Mihu XuanXuan, game number 2 on Vermeer. Let's get to it. And spawning at the top right as the red Terran, our current BSL champion, it is Mihu.
Yep, and in the bottom left, our blue Terran, it is XuanXuan. And I don't know, I was just having a feeling that we may see BBS. I don't know why. It's, your tournament at life, the tournament lifeline, and there we go. Is this gonna actually be BBS? This is a very, I don't know, I just have a feeling that that's what it's gonna be. Now, this SCV does look like an 8 racks, because if you BBS, you kind of don't go at 8, you generally go at 9. So this may just be an 8 racks, and you can transition out of this. So I've been playing it a lot on ladder, actually, just kind of to experiment with. And what you're looking for here is SCV kills. You don't care if you lose all your Marines. You don't care if you kill their Marines. You just gotta even up the SCV count, because you're down about, I think, 3-ish. So killing 2 or 3 and forcing lost minerals is great. And he's got the barracks all the way across the map. Now, this is interesting. Is he going to proxy a racks at bottom, middle, 2 and try and... I don't know. What's the scout pattern?
Maybe it was scouting for proxy 8 racks from Mihu. That's the only thing I could kind of guess at.
Oh my gosh.
What is this?
So he's doing this like, well, I'm all in. Well, 8 racks isn't necessarily all in, but he wants to...
This looks all in.
Well, yeah, this is all in, 100%. This is mega all in. You don't transition out of this. But I guess he's trying to have a racks at every possible position where he could instantly rally. I don't know about this. I don't think I've ever seen split racks like this ever.
Yeah, I can't say I have either, especially on such a large map, right?
Is that going up? Okay, it's not.
Oh. It's right there. That's
I know.
Oh man, very, very interesting. So SCV does scout top left, knows that Mihu is not there. Second barracks completing bottom right. And actually the SCVs do intercept each other. So I feel like Mihu has to know that, or XuanXuan rather, has to know that Mihu is top right.
Yeah.
2 Marines moving out here. Looks like
oh no.
Meeting up.
This might already be game over. He's lifted his barracks. This SCV got to the base too quickly, but you can see it's only a couple seconds fast. So if Mihu's game sense is really on top, well, okay, well now he knows because there's Marines here and there's 3 of them. But can he hold? I mean, SCVs are strong. Factories, how close is the factory being done? If it's 80% done, okay, it's not close enough to being done. He can't allow this bunker to get up. If the bunker gets up, it's over.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a good job charging up this ramp. More SCVs being pulled from Mihu here, but already quite a few SCVs have fallen for the champ. Bunker not being more.
Gotta kill the SCV! Gotta kill the SCV! Okay, he got the SCV. That means he can hold this with perfect micro. He's lost so many SCVs, but look, he's still up 6 SCVs. And this might actually be a hold.
Oh no, I think the bottom barracks was not rallied, unfortunately, here for XuanXuan. So, a couple Marines coming from the south side. Man, if he had just followed up a little faster, this would have been a guaranteed win. But Mihu still in it. Building a vulture out of that factory. This will be his second one, repairing the initial vulture. So this could potentially be just what he needs to be able to hold this. And yes, Marines now being one-shot by these 2 vultures.
Yep, it's done. All you have to do is prevent the bunker and you're going to win the game. There it is. GG, XuanXuan.
Wow. Yeah, XuanXuan does tap out there. Interesting, man. That double proxy BBS, especially split on a map like Vermeer like that was some pretty interesting play from XuanXuan. Unfortunately, it's not enough. He will, be eliminated from the bracket at this point. And Mihu will
Did you just call him Mihu?
Mihu. Oh God. Yeah, Mihu. He'll be moving on to play Jeonhoon next. So that's what he gets for that victory there, which I can't believe they're facing each other already. That's going to be a pretty interesting match when we get to it. But actually, I think our next matchup will end up being JayStar going up against Fengzi. This will be a Protoss versus Zerg matchup once again, and kind of an interesting one. I feel like they hit each other earlier in this tournament.
They did. Remember, yesterday was the cannon rush. Yesterday.
Right, that cannon rush on Butter, man. I'll never forget. I'll be having nightmares about that one for a while. But yeah, that's going to be a pretty interesting match. Obviously it won't be starting on Butter. I think it should be Longinus, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be Sylphid, actually. Never mind. It's going to be Sylphid. So pretty interesting map for the matchup. I've mentioned how strong it feels like 973 can be on Sylphid for Zerg. So Fengzi might have that going for him. At the same time, he might not. He might just make a lot of Zerglings and break the wall or something. So either way, it's going to be a pretty interesting one between these two. JayStar showing some phenomenal play earlier in the tournament as well. So yeah, Fengzi, JayStar, and obviously the winner of this series will be going up against the Bus. So yeah, we are down to just the killers, it feels like, in the bracket here so far.
Yeah, and we saw yesterday JayStar just all in every game. 2-gate, for pylon in his main, then Nexus, and then 2-gate. I mean, he was just heavily aggressive. Meanwhile, Fengzi, he countered the aggressive play with that lurker drop. Remember that? It ended up not working out, but interesting counterplay from Fengzi. I wonder if JayStar will continue the trend of aggressive play, or will he just switch it up and go into more normal play? You remember yesterday I was saying I felt like some of these players were kind of baiting, like, hey, don't forget I can all in, but then actually plan to play normally. But so far we've just seen continuous aggression across the board in every matchup.
Yep, it's been like Zasagi today, man. Just these Zerg players just committing with these 2 base timings, and Terran's just falling left and right, and Protoss as well. Jeonhoon falling earlier today too. So here we go. Sylphid, pretty popular map, for everybody in the StarCraft scene. Both these players obviously have spent countless time playing this one, and this should just be a pretty decent map to start the series off with. Both of our players are ready, so let's get into this ZVP. And spawning at the 12 o'clock position as the red Zerg, we have Fengzi.
And in the bottom right, we've got our blue Protoss player. It is JayStar. I was looking at those mineral patches. Do those look right on Sylphid? For some reason, they were throwing me off. Maybe they are right. I haven't played Sylphid in such a long time. I thought it was a completely different map or a modified map.
No, that looks right to me.
Yeah, the more I look at it, the more it looks accurate. I don't know. I haven't played it in such a long time. I thought for sure that this was not how they actually were laid out at top middle. But we've got a forward pylon. Now, remember yesterday we saw double gate at Monopoly. I really liked that position for the double gate, but I think this time around, not going to see double gate since it's not going to be a complete wall off.
Yeah, Sylphid kind of has that cramped natural space, which, you know, it's quite difficult to place even like things like cannons. So something like double gateway, I don't think can be placed. But who knows? He's keeping the. Am I just wrong here? He really likes this 2-gate play versus Zerg, it seems.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back to the games versus Gypsy, which are obviously Protoss versus Terran, but I don't think JayStar played anything, you know, as aggressive as this. Like, this seems, in my opinion, a little bit unorthodox for him, but so far, this has been his go-to 2-gate, and then, you know, proxy gate versus Terran, just in your face all the time. And luckily for him, Overlord does not scout him first, so he's going to have a great build order. And remember, we've seen all the Zergs today, well, I guess just Zhao Shuai play versus Protoss, and they only built one round of links. Luckily for Fengzi here, he's building multiple links, so that's great.
Yeah, Fengzi, he's done this signature 9-pool just about every single Zerg versus Protoss, I gotta say. That's a very fast Vespian gas. This looks like 2-base Zerg.
Yeah, that is extremely fast. I think generally the standard gas timing is like 235. This was a 215 gas. So very low eco. Whether this is all in Lings or whatever, or what this is, we don't know. But this is going to be very low eco Zerg. Meanwhile, these Zealots are holding back for now. I would say he's probably going to wait for, I was going to say 5, but no, he's just going to wait for 2 Zealots and now start to move out. And actually, those probes were not there to defend. They are out in the map with these Zealots.
Yeah, Zealots and a couple probes rallying across the map here. Fengzi's realized this is a huge committal from JayStar. This is going to be the 2-gate. Creep going down the main. I don't know about that one. Oh, he's just going to counter. This is just going to be a layer counter, and he's going to cancel the natural. So, big mind games here from our Zerg player. Ooh,
yeah.
Wow.
I don't know about this. This doesn't seem like enough Lings to go for a counter like this. It's only 5. Like, is that enough to burst down the pylon quick enough? But I guess if you're going to get into the mineral line and deal this amount of damage, look how many drone or probes he has left. He has only 7 mining because 3 of them are across the map. JayStar was not expecting the sunken to be done. He moves in, he catches 1, maybe 2 drones, I think, but he's going to lose all of these Zealots in the process. Meanwhile, those Lings are still alive. No speed just yet because Fengzi's rushed into lair.
That is a pretty big pick-off, though, for JayStar, I gotta say. 2 drones at this stage in the game versus 1 base Zerg. Now Zerg can't even fully mine. I think Fengzi needed to defend that Zealot timing just a little better. Maybe just pull the drones to the extractor, force the Zealots to engage on that sunken. So I gotta say, a little bit of a misstep, and now I'm very much less certain about Fengzi's position. Looks like Fengzi opting to get a little bit of damage done on that pylon at the natural. Zerglings rallying across the map to try to join them. Spire down in the main, so that puts a timer on JayStar here. Ooh, probes being pulled to the natural, though, to try to help these Zealots defend the pylon, and they will. Just optimal timing there from JayStar to defend that pylon. Zerglings trying to catch out 1 or 2 probes, going back into the main, are unable to do so. And actually, with that, I believe Fengzi will not be able to kill off this pylon. JayStar doing a pretty decent job rallying his Zealots to this natural here, getting and completing this wall off. and continuing to build probes in the main. Cybercore just now starting though. This tech is very clearly delayed, unfortunately, and this is a one-hatch Spire play out of the main. It looks like Fengzi is taking a natural, but it's going to be very significantly delayed given their openers. Core, you know, not even complete yet, while mutas are in production, so Fengzi has the opportunity to maybe get some significant damage done here. It looks like JayStar recognizing that, building a cannon at his natural to help defend the pylon as well as the two gateways. He's gonna need a second cannon there though, I think. That single hatch production of Muta for Fengzi going to be quite difficult. Wow, Zergling getting in here, doing a little bit of chip damage to this photon cannon, and maybe it's enough. Zergling's just flooding in here. Oh my gosh, he's maybe done it. Muta going to be targeting down these zealots of JayStar. You know, there's definitely not a cannon next to this pylon now, so once he's able to kill off these zealots, he might just be able to prevent all the gateways from producing at this point. 5 Muta picking off that zealot and going after the final remaining zealot here of JayStar. But still, look at this drone count for Fengzi. 11 drones to the 24 probes of JayStar. Fengzi needs to get big damage done here, if not just end the game outright.
Yeah, but Fengzi, with the 6 mutas, I mean, nothing can contest it. He can knock down the pylon, he can knock down the gates. Realize he's got low eco, but there's going to be no production for JayStar. And that means he's going to have to build cannons. If Fengzi continues to all in with Ling Muta here, I think he can just overrun. I mean, there's nothing. There's no zealots. There's 2 cannons. That's it.
He is producing. Corsair, though, has a second Stargate on the way and +1. So, I mean, if we get to that miracle scenario where JayStar gets a small group of Corsair up, maybe he's able to just take air control.
Yeah, you can get air control, but the worry for me is the lack of ground. And also, with map control right now, Fengzi can just transition like what he's doing right now. We saw a second Stargate be built for JayStar because he realizes that, hey, I got to get some air control, and that's just such an expensive building to build. Here comes 4 Scourge, 8 Mutas, not going to commit. But I feel like Fengzi's already stabilized, and he's starting to build up his drone count now. He's now at 16 versus 26, and it's just 1 base Protoss. I mean, that's not scary.
Yeah, very true. Drone count is starting to rise, 19 to the 27 of JayStar. As you mentioned, he still has map control, is taking a 3rd base with a 3rd hatchery, and even dropping down a 4th hatchery at this point. So we are starting to see a complete switch here from our Zerg player.
Yep, Zerg transitioning into the Hydra Den. I think that's the 4th hatch coming up. I mean, there's absolutely nothing on the ground for JayStar right now. So Fengzi, he's just got a huge lead. I just don't see how, just like in the Mihu XuanXuan game, how Protoss is really ever going to get their nat here. Don't know how they're really ever going to get outside of the base, especially if Zerg ends up going into lurkers. I mean, he's not even thinking about robotics. He doesn't have range. He's thinking about just getting control in the air. With these Sares right now, there's speed for the Hydras, which is also a fine choice. Now, this is one way to come back. If you can supply block over and over the Zerg player, he's going to find 5 Overlords.
Ooh, Scourge going in, getting vaporized by those Corsair, and suddenly Fengzi having to back off. Wow, that I don't think that engagement could have gone better for JayStar there, just with phenomenal Corsair control. And like you said, suddenly this is a big supply block here for Fengzi.
He only has 4 supply available. It's so expensive to rebuild those Overlords. I didn't see an evolution chamber. So unless he actually got Hydras out, which he did not, Oh, he has 2. Luckily, he has 2, so he can at least do damage to some of the Sares. But look at this. He can't build anything because if he builds Overlords, they get popped. He can't build the Spores because he just now got an Evolution Chamber. He is very lucky to have those 2 Hydras at least push the Sares back for now.
I feel like Fengzi's got to get something done with these Muta, right? And it's obviously not engage the Corsair. There we go. Muta going to deny this natural once again for JayStar. JayStar screaming towards these Mutas, though, with these Corsairs, looking to pick up some more big kills. And yes, he's already on top of them. Mutas just disappear.
Yep, Mutas get wiped out, and this lead that Fengzi had is slowly dwindling. I don't know if he's behind just yet, but obviously not in as great of a position as he was a moment ago. 2 Mutas are going to try and deny this base and just be annoying, and they might actually. It's 3. Okay, that's going to push the Corsairs back and force them to turn around. Oh no, they are actually going to engage, and they're going to melt another 7-8 Overlords, and he's back down to just 4 available supply.
Yeah, big damage still being done by JayStar's Corsairs here. The Muta going to deny a couple cannons at JayStar's natural, but they will not end up denying the Nexus, which is kind of the key here. And JayStar is just crawling back into this one, man.
He is indeed. He's got double gate, his Citadel completed, and I realize he still doesn't have much ground, but he has dealt so much damage. He's gonna pop another Overlord. Now that was a little bit ambitious. He trades 1 Overlord for at least 1 Sare, down to 7 now, but remember, they still have +1. Not sure if the Overlords have any armor, do they? I mean, they're dying so fast. I'm not sure if they do or not.
No, they do not, it seems. Muta are, I mean, there's just a couple Muta at the natural here, still trying to pick off these cannons, but JayStar's just been so hyper aggressive, trying to continually supply block the Zerg here with these Corsairs, and not even thinking about turning around with the Sares to try to deal with these Muta. I don't know, I'd almost like him to just reset, clear the Mutas, and just get the natural up and running. And actually, okay, just deselecting a couple Corsairs, that's all that's really needed here. Another dive for some Overlords. Scourge completing, but not quite. Ooh, okay, they do get a connect. Only 5 Corsairs outside the natural remaining. I think he's got a couple more that he can pair them with at his own natural. And JayStar's up by 20 supplies still. Wow, I can't believe his third hatchery hasn't fallen.
Yeah, that hatchery has like 100 health or something. It should die in just a second. Maybe like 2 more hits. Oh, okay, it needs 3 more hits. Those Zealots will finally get rid of it, and that's going to be a lot of lost production for Fengzi. Also, obviously, lost eco. First DT coming across the map, and with the Overlords being vaporized left and right, if he can find an opening into the natural, he's going to get in there and swipe a ton of drones. Actually, there's only 1 spore. I thought it was double spore.
Yeah, it's a sunken and a single spore, so I don't know if a DT's, going to the natural is probably a good call here, but he can absolutely use these DTs to deny a third base, which Fengzi desperately needs at the moment.
Yep, first 2 DTs are moving across the map. They've gone unspotted, at least unless the Scourge, or at least unless Fengzi was paying really close attention to those Scourge. Sare count's still at 5, so that's still relatively high. 2 DTs, they, like you said, they don't need to get in the net anymore. They can just be annoying, make sure that this guy never takes a third base. And I think it's 5 gate production for our Protoss player. So he's got big production coming in. Forge, okay, it is spinning, so he does have upgrades coming too. I think that's got to be +2, right? So he's going to have heavy upgrades, an upgrade lead probably also.
Yeah, this is most likely an upgrade lead here for Protoss. Yes, it definitely is. Not even +1 started yet for Fengzi. He's just been on such low econ this entire game. DT's scouting around the map and confirming exactly what JayStar probably knows at this point, that he's got a slight edge finally in this game. This is a lot of Hydralists moving across the map though from Fengzi, but we should have Storm Tech completed.
Yep, Storm should be done. We've got 3 Templars out, decent amount of Zealots. Okay, that's one way to get back in this game is set up a massive lurker contain, and for now it's gone unscouted. There's no robo, there's no range, I don't think, and this definitely caught JayStar off guard because he's just now started range. I still see no robo anywhere.
Yeah, I don't see the robo, and that's maybe a big misread here.
Oh, the bust!
Oh, but Storm's going down. He does have vision of these lurkers for the moment. Final Storm clearing up the lurkers. Oh my gosh, that's just a single lurker still alive now. It is able to range that pylon, but one more Storm should be able to take it out here. Dragoon's moving out, trying to get some extra damage on these Hydralisks before additional lurkers are morphed. But I don't know, Fengzi's starting to get a better trade here. This one lurker is just able to soak and do so much damage, it seems.
Yeah, he just barely doesn't have, I guess, the energy for another storm. More lurkers being set up, and remember, there's no robo, so if the lurker can get into the... Oh, he's just going to go for it again. The storms were fantastic last time. Can they be fantastic this time? He just runs by. What? Okay, well, he's going to cut off reinforcements, I guess.
One more lurker is falling. Robo desperately going down, but it's right next to these lurkers that are going to deal continual damage to it. I don't know about that. He might need to replace that robo somewhere. Lurker's also going to be able to do damage to the Templar Archives.
You may not recognize that that's the robo right there. Okay, now obviously that's completely knows that it's there, but...
This is such a close game, Nyoken. I don't know. I feel like JayStar maybe still has this. He's going to be able to get this robo up, should be able to produce observers, and from there, I mean, he's got somewhat of an econ to try to back this up, whereas Fengzi, I mean, this is like desperation from him. He's got to get some big damage done here because he doesn't have a third, really, to come back from. Probes being transferred from the mined out main to the natural of JayStar. One thing's for sure, once JayStar pushes out here, he's going to need to take a third base as soon as possible. There shouldn't be a big push to kill after this. He's got to secure another base because he's essentially just on a single base mining at the moment. Nice storm dodge there from Fengzi. And here we go. Protoss moving across the map, has that 40 supply advantage in such a scrappy game. Archon trying to get out and get some damage done, gets picked off by the Hydralisk group. And yeah, it looks like JayStar just going for the kill.
Yeah, it's just too much Protoss at this point. He's reached critical mass. He's going to deny the third base, even though his main is mined out, is 93 to 53. And eventually, Zerg's going to mine out too. It's not like Zerg has a third base anywhere. So all JayStar has to do is sit outside this guy's base. Don't lose your Templars like this. And maybe he'll just be able to seal the deal. I mean, he is low eco because he is on one base, but he's got the more powerful units, right? I mean, it's Mutas now.
Yeah, it's Mutas. I mean, even... at this point, once you have some upgrades as Protoss, Dragoons can tear down Mutas as well. They're all quite bruised. Observers, though, just being suicided into the Spore. I don't know about that from JayStar. Another nice storm blanketing those Mutalisks. And, you know, suddenly, once again, JayStar in a very solid position. But we do have a couple lurkers that should be able to push off this attack for now. Well... not before he loses the Hydroden and the Hatchery, I guess. Yeah,
after JayStar's move out into the lurkers outside of his Nat, I don't think one lurker is going to keep him from busting this Nat. And he does take down Fengzi, at least in the first game, so he's going to be up 1-0. But what a wild game that was. It really looked like Fengzi was going to take it in the after the game kind of stabilized. But then... the Corsair struck, and they caught how many kills? Like at least 20.
At least, probably more than that. I mean, it was just perfect targeting too. Even once, you know, Fengzi recognized it, tried to go in, move in with the Mutascourge. I mean, JayStar was all over it. Just perfect focus firing on the Scourge, on the Muta, cleared countless numbers of Overlords, and Fengzi was just, I mean, supply blocked the entire game. It felt like it was very, very difficult to deal with. And this all hinged off of that early 2-gate opener versus like sunken in the main 1-hatch Muta. Like what a crazy opener to that game. But with that, JayStar going to take the early victory and go up 1-0 in this best of 3 series.
Yep, 1 game away. It's going to be Fengzi's pick though. I really like Gladiator. I think that's just such a strong EVP map that, or just a strong Zerg map in general, that we may see that, but it's been out of the map pool for a long time. We could see Butter. We saw that yesterday, yeah, but that was kind of a weird game just like the first one, so I don't know if I would pick that versus JayStar, because you may get into another weird game outside of your comfort zone. I'd really like to see a 4-player map, Gladiator or Vermeer.
Yeah, Vermeer would be nice as well. But actually, we're not going to get any of your wishes here. It's going to be Monopoly. I think, I really am surprised that a Zerg player is picking this against Protoss. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of a small distance, but really, I feel like Fengzi is getting better of the early game micro engagements, with those Zerglings versus Zealots. So maybe it's just kind of where he's comfortable playing. Either way, sounds like we are ready to get into game number 2 here of Fengzi versus JayStar. Let's see it. And spawning at the bottom left of Monopoly as the red Zerg, currently down 0-1, it is Fengzi.
Yep, and in the bottom left with the same spawn as yesterday, it is JayStar. And I can't imagine it being anything else other than the double gate at top left. I mean, it does a complete wall. He's been aggro every game. I feel like this just has to be it. Like, if I was Fengzi here, I would be planning to counter that play.
It's very clear that JayStar is comfortable with that 2-gate opener. I feel like we even saw it twice in a row in one of the previous series of his PvZ. It's clearly one of his go-tos. Fengzi, meanwhile, he loves the 9-pool opener. I don't know if we're going to see that this game. I think I just saw an Overlord get produced. So, yeah, maybe he's transitioning out of his typical 9-pool opener, maybe because this is a map with 10 mineral patches in the main, I would guess. But either way, this is going to be interesting. Actually, not even an overpool. This could be hatch first here. I like 11 hatch versus 2-gate.
Okay, well, we'll see if it's going to be an 11 hatch or a 12 hatch, because as expected, this is going to be the 2-gate opener, and it does look to be the 11 hatch. And I agree, I think a hatch opener here is good versus the 2-gate. You've got a lot of larva, which you need. You're going to have the hatch completed at the natural where you can get a sunken down. I think this is the perfect response.
I couldn't agree with you more here. I think 11 hatch in particular, not 12 hatch, but 11 hatch is just in time to be able to deal with something like a 2-gate. And the big advantage of this is versus like a 9-pool or something like that is, you're going to get that creep up at your natural, and you should be able to put a sunken down. Now, if Fengzi scouts with this drone, once he sees these 2 gateways, he should have a drone sitting at that natural, ready for that hatchery to complete and getting down a sunken ASAP. Now, Protoss obviously knows this, and there's this little micro battle that happens where the first probe and Zealot force a cancel on the original sunken, so you actually have to make 2. But if you do it right as Zerg, it's very difficult for Protoss to be able to break the natural. And so we already see the 2 drones sitting at the natural here. First Zealot underway, but we're seeing a little bit of harass so far here from the Zealot. And yes, 2 probes moving in as well. We're going to see if the second sunken goes down here. Whichever one gets focused from JayStar early will likely end up getting canceled. But look at that probe control.
Yeah, the probe control is fantastic. That's a dead sunken, man. And this, did JayStar already do it? Like, he pops it, He forces. Is that all the drones? Is he even mining in his main? This
Maybe
is.
with one.
He's mining with one drone, so he must hold this. Otherwise, he's just simply gonna run out of money. He just doesn't have anything after these units pop. It looks like he does.
Done it. Wow, good committal. You know, it's a difficult decision to make, and actually a GG
What?
even going out from JayStar. I didn't think it was that over. I mean, he ended up getting some drone kills, killed that sunken, but I guess you have to get the damage done with a 2-gate opener versus an 11 hatch like that. JayStar deems that it's game over. Good time to move on to game 3.
Well, okay. Well, now that we realize that JayStar is going to just exit the game if it doesn't work, I feel like why doesn't he just pull like almost all his probes then, right? If you're just going to exit when the attack fails, you might as well just go for it. I am surprised that he exited there, but if you look at the probe count at the end, it was 9. So he's cutting like a madman. But like I said, if you're going to just exit, pull the boys. Go for all of it. There's no point kind of not necessarily half going for it because, I mean, he's still committed pretty hard, but pull everything if you're just going to exit. I am a little bit shocked at the GG.
Yeah, that seemed like a little bit of a preemptive GG to be sure. But, you know, he does end up falling there. It will be his map selection for this game 3. And he's got some good maps to choose from. I don't know if they're good 2-gate maps, but, you know, either way, he's going to have another attempt here. Do you do the 2-gate 3 games in a row?
Well, the problem here is if you've practiced a certain build, you can't just change it now. Like, what are you doing? You're experimenting in a tournament? I feel like you got to just go with what you practiced, right? Like, even if it can't, or even if it's a low percent, well, maybe if it's not a low percentage, but if this is the build you practice, you got to go for it. And it seems like JayStar, he's just an aggro player. Whether he should go for 2-gate, I don't know, but you just got to go with what you practice. I don't think he can forge expand. It doesn't seem like that's his type of play style at all.
No, it definitely does not. But, I mean, maybe that's part of the mind game, right? You need to be flexible, especially in these important series here. You got to be able to optimize and adjust and evolve your play. So if Fengzi, you know, is starting to counter that 2-gate with something like an 11 hatch, which we had not really seen him do prior, you got to make some adjustments on your own here. So yeah, we'll have to see how this one ends up playing out here. Now, like I said, with JayStar evening up the series there 1-1, Game 3 will be his map choice, and it will be Vermeer. So a 4-player map. You know, I'm pretty sure you can fit 2 gateways at the natural, and actually I think he's even 2-gated on this map as well in a prior series versus Zerg, so definitely a familiar pick to him. So yeah, it sounds like we are ready to get into game number 3 now. Fengzi versus JayStar. Let's get to it. And spawning at the top right of Vermeer as the red Zerg, we have Fengzi.
And in the bottom right, our blue Protoss, it is JayStar. Now, didn't we see JayStar Pylon in his main and then Nexus and 2-gate on this map yesterday?
Yeah, I think we did.
I think he did, and JayStar seems to just keep doing the same kind of opener on each map that, okay, well, maybe it's not going to be the same this time around. I was going to say, I think Fengzi should just 9-pool again, because if you're going to get away, if you're going to try and do that again, which it seems like he likes to do, just go for the same opener, I think it would have been fantastic. But this time around, again, it's going to be another low ground pylon, and probably going to be gateways.
Yep, and on Fengzi's side, we're seeing that Overlord, so this will not be the 9-pool that he's kind of been noted for in, you know, this tournament so far. So I also not seeing a pool go down quite yet for Fengzi, so this looks to be another hatchery first play, potentially out of Fengzi. Now, fortunately for JayStar here, at least they're close position, right? If they were cross map, you know, and Fengzi was top left, no chance this 2-gate opener works. But yeah, we are 100% seeing that 2-gate opener versus an 11 hatch once again, and Fengzi going to get the first scout with his Overlord. I think things are looking pretty good for Fengzi just from the start here.
Yeah, but he's going to have another good hold onto the 3 Zealots and 3 Probes, because you know that's going to be the combo that JayStar wants to go for. Pool went down. Hatchery's about, what, halfway down? Oh, that's going to be... I think it's literally just to block sunken positioning.
Huh. That's pretty smart. I mean, the one thing is, right, he's shown the pylon at the natural. He knows this is a full committal. Fengzi doesn't even have to worry about taking gas. He probably won't have to take a gas this entire game, right? It all comes down to this. He has to hold this natural, or it is his tournament series.
Yep,
Ooh,
and there
shield
we go.
battery.
His battery. Yep. I thought he was going to battery at the bottom side, but instead he opts to battery there. I mean, he can battery again. He's got a... I'm trying to get a gauge on his money. Can he afford Zealots and building batteries at the same time? Looks like he can. He needs to build another one. Oh, is not able to block that sunken at the bottom side, but he does limit the building area at the top right side and obviously bottom right. Cannot lose drones. Oh, that's a miss rally on the Lings. You can't miss rally, and this might have been game-ending rally right there. They're still not coming. He's probably wondering, where are they?
Oh my goodness, Fengzi has to be furious at himself at the moment. That top sunken will complete, but no other sunken. And remember, the big difference this game is we have the battery. Here we go, big engagement. Drones doing a little bit of damage here, but we've got the battery healing up these Zealots as they fight. This is big damage, and actually I think JayStar can even just choose to move into the main here.
Yeah, look at the drone count. It's at 6 versus 10. That's a drone not mining right there. And now Zealots plus Probe could combo into full position on the ramp. Instead, actually, he kind of bleeds off one of the Zealots, but there's just so little econ. But the Zealots are kind of heavily damaged. Yeah. And they're going to fall, and this is going to be 2 probes that are also going to die. And behind this, look at this. He loses the pylon, so he can't build anything else. He also is not building any probes this entire time. This is what I was talking about. If you're going to all in, why not pull everything? Like, he's still not building probes.
Oh, no.
I can't believe he held this.
I actually can't believe he did either. I mean, I guess that top sunken placement ended up being a little too much. There was no great way for JayStar to really engage that and eliminate this natural. More Zerglings going to be falling here to these 4 Zealots, but JayStar's, I mean, like he said, he just doesn't have the econ behind this. He did kill a significant amount of drones, forced sunken, but I mean, look at what JayStar committed. He had that pylon, he had a shield battery, continual 2-gate pressure, and it's just barely not enough.
Yeah, and I think all Fengzi has to do is 1 hatch build Lings, 1 hatch build drones, and he'll be just fine. His drone to probe count is still pretty close. It's 9 to 12 in just a second. There's no nexus, there's no gas, he doesn't have to worry about tech. He just needs to hold his ramp like this. Sunken doing a lot of damage in the back. I mean, they hit really hard, but he can't let him into the main. Now the Sunken's not attacking. That's a great drone drill. Pushes one of the Zealots back into Sunken range. May have been a game-saving drone, actually.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit of a misstep there from Fengzi, getting out of range of that Sunken, but he does barely hold it off. Trades a drone for his efforts, though. And still, 2 gateways, still rallying across the map. 13 probes to 9 drones here of Fengzi. And I mean, just no tech from either player, right? Like, no gas been taken.
Yeah.
They are just continually pumping out units.
But
big engagement in the center. It looks like Zealots attacking into the Zerglings, and maybe the Zerglings ended up coming out on top there. Barely.
Whoa, barely the Lings won. I thought for sure that the Lings were going to overwhelmingly win. And actually, I was going to say Fengzi can start branching off Lings just like that. And he knows there's no defense at the natural. There's no defense in the main. If he can get into the main, it's going to be super annoying to deal with. But those Lings did not trade as effectively as I thought. Meanwhile, 2 Zealots are going to go for a counterattack, and again, Fengzi's going to have to hold his ramp. But look at the probe to drone count now. 18 to 14. Much better position for Zerg now.
Yeah, much better here for the Zerg. Zealots engaging into the sunken range once again. He just has to. Zergling's backing up to the ramp, and a couple weak Zealots will make it into the main, but there is only a couple weaklings as well, so maybe some potential damage here from our Protoss player. We'll have to see. Ooh, good drone pull though from Fengzi to start this one off. More Zerglings rallying in and completing. So I think this Zealot will fall here momentarily. But there's still more and more Zealots being rallied across the map here from JayStar.
It survived with 1 health. I'm hoping that this Zealot just doesn't rack up infinite kills. Okay, I think it finally got taken down right there. Nexus finally coming down. Both players really not mining gas at all. Just now Fengzi starting to mine that gas. Another drone pull. Really good block on the ramp with the drone. He ends up losing 3 or 4. That's a big loss for him. And JayStar with this tiny constant attacking, dealing a lot of damage.
Yeah, he truly is. I mean, just finding an entrance to make a little bit of damage here and there. Drone count has been whittled down. It is 12 to 18 though, and I still think that Fengzi slowly securing the better position here. Third base even being produced here from our Zerg player, but just this constant pressure from JayStar is making it very difficult to get anything done.
Starting to re-drone is Fengzi. He's got his third base at top middle. It's gone unscouted. I think if JayStar knew about it, he may head on over there. He's got a tiny choke, so he could have effective trades if he moved like 5 Zealots into position up there, but it would leave his main exposed, so you have to keep that in mind. Meanwhile, Fengzi's decided enough's enough. I'm going to start building some Hydras. But meanwhile, another 4 Zealot attack, and it's just 7 Lings, another drone pull. More Lings being pumped out. Can the Zealots get in? No. And they don't find... Oh, they find 1 drone kill.
Such good drone pulling, I gotta say. It's every single time he just barely holds on. And man, I wish you could see the amount of damage that buildings do. That Sunken has just been a hero this game. He's caused so much chaos for these poor Zealots just trying to get inside the main.
Yeah, for real. Like thousands of points of damage, probably. But now JayStar's kind of stabilized. He's got his NAT up and running. It's like 27 probes. That's decent across 2 bases for now. He's starting to get gas, get his tech rolling. Meanwhile, it's just still 3 hatch, Hydrogen. There's no lair, there's no spire, there's no potential for a muta counterattack. And the Hydras are about to be spotted.
Yeah, it doesn't see it quite yet. He might have seen it there. But, either way, Fengzi is transitioning. With these Hydras, he'll absolutely gain map control at this point. JayStar putting down cannons inside the main, showing he doesn't truly have a great understanding of what he's up against here. He might think this is 2-base muta, which we obviously know it isn't.
And this is a lot of resources. 3 cannons, it's 450 minerals right there. And I like how Fengzi's not showing the Hydras until the cannons complete, because he knows that the cannons aren't done yet with the Overlord. So there's no way for JayStar to cancel them, so it's just going to be completely wasted money. Look at that. He cancels at the last second, but only able to cancel one of them. He doesn't even cancel that one. So that was really nicely done from Fengzi to make sure that he cannot get those resources back, and now he can go for a counterattack. There's only a single cannon at the front to save those gateways, and just like on the Overwatch game, behind this, there are 0 gateways. Also, that's an Artosis pylon, man.
Oh no, it is an Artosis pylon? Oh my gosh, could you imagine Forge being used to complete this wall off and try to prevent these Hydras from getting on top of these cannons, if at all possible. No pylon, remember. Hydras coming in here, probes being pulled to try to defend this wall. And it looks like it's barely going to be enough here. Needs to cancel that Forge.
both his gates. Yeah, he does need to cancel the forge. What he really needs is he needs to build gates in his main. He needs another pylon. That's a forward pylon. He doesn't know that that's just an Artosis pylon, but if he did, he may suicide everything just to pop it because it would win him the game.
Yeah, it very much would. I mean, that is all of JayStar's defense right there. Hinges on that single pylon. Hydra's still flooding across the map. I'm kind of interested to see if Fengzi, maybe just jumps on it, or if he's going to try to drone up from here. It's only 23 drones once again to the 36, and actually with that 4 base, I think that's kind of Fengzi showing he's really not looking to commit super heavy here. He's happy having the map control, producing, or he's happy with the amount of Hydralisk he's produced, and all the cannons that he's forced, even another cannon.
Oh my god. He really expects Fengzi to be mega all in, or he expects the eco to be a little bit better than it actually is, because he has cut so many potential gateways to get these cannons up. He has like 10 now at the natural. He's not even mining gas there. That's how worried he is. Meanwhile, we know Fengzi's powering like a madman. He's only at 24 drones, but he's got 5 hatches. Those 24 drones are going to turn into 40, 50 drones in 2 or 3 cycles from now.
Yeah, it's, definitely the strength of Zerg, especially once you have that 4th base so quickly like this. I love this play from Fengzi, recognizing not doing anything too rash and trying to jump on top of all these cannons. He's playing this very well. Ooh, I like how he pulls a group of Hydralisks back into mid-right to try to deny Corsairs from scouting into the main as well, or any kind of shuttle drop play.
Yeah, smart move right there. And then the Overlord's just getting full intel. He sees just now the gateway's complete, so he knows he can still continue to drone maybe one more round, and then he's got to be careful. If he can get lurkers out, again, there's a lack of robo, there's a lack of gas in general. I'm not sure if he has upgraded the lurker aspect, but that would be a fantastic upgrade if he has.
Yeah, it really would be quite strong here. I mean, JayStar's, he's just been on such low eco and in such a funky position this entire game that, getting that robo and affording observers at this point could be quite difficult. He will pick up an Overlord kill in the main, though, with a couple of his Dragoons. So kind of showing his hand. I like that he's transitioning to that goon range and getting up that Dragoon count for the inevitable lurker contain here from Fengzi.
Yeah, I like the Muta play also. That's a good option, especially since Protoss was not mining gas, that they're not for a long time. He cannot build an excessive amount of goons or Templars. And Mutas are great versus both of those. He can pick off Templars very quickly. And, he's got 4 base eco too. So, look at that drone count. What was it, 24 a moment ago?
Yeah.
Now it's 47.
Now it's 47. Jeez. I did not expect a Muta transition, but I think it is the right call. Maybe not scouting Stargate was kind of what tipped him off to go Muta. Even with heavy Dragoon numbers, you always really like Muta versus Dragoon, or Muta versus any gateway units, to be fair.
Well, I saw Dark Archon at the natural, so that's one way you can deal with Mutas.
Oh, I did not see that.
And that's going to be a great unit to use versus this Muta switch. If it had been Lurkers, this would have kind of backfired unless he can catch a handful of Hydras or catch Lurkers mid-burrow. And there are those Mutas. He needs about 30 more seconds of energy, worth of energy, and then he'll be able to maelstrom them. He's got a decent amount of goons. He's got 2 Templars, multiple Storms probably.
Show it. Oh man, he can't afford to show this Dark Archon before it has enough for maelstrom.
Yeah,
okay, he is keeping it back. I like this.
Yeah, he's buying time. He knows that the Mutas should be coming, especially since there are no Lurkers by now. And now the Dark Archon has been... Oh, maybe it has not been spotted, actually.
Oh, here we go.
I like how it's following the Templars, too. If he can catch these Mutas, that would be game-changing. But at the same time, I don't know. There's so many Hydras still.
Oh, he sees the Dark Archon, but Dark Archon does not get the Maelstrom off. But his card has been shown here. Wow. We also have Lurkers on the field now from Fengzi. So it's not like JayStar can really just push across the map quite yet and go kill bases. He's got to sit back. He's got to secure a third base. And actually, this is giving an opportunity for these Mutalisks to dive into the main here. Only a single cannon.
Yeah, Muta's not getting caught by the Dark Archon. Now get into the main. Can he get the juicy Maelstrom off? That's a big one. Problem is Maelstrom doesn't last very long. I think that these Mutas are going to be able to escape. Look, these 3 Mutas take down one of the Templars, and the other Mutas become un-Maelstrom, and they force out 3 Storms. They pretty much all whiff. Well, okay, I guess he does kill the majority of the Mutas there, so nicely done, but he ends up trading 2 Templars in the process.
Yeah, good control from both these players. Such like great situational awareness there. But still, Fengzi just slowly gaining a lead the longer this game goes, right? He's been on that 4 base count with 4 gases for quite some time now. He knows pretty much JayStar has missed any kind of a window of opportunity for a timing. JayStar has to just sit back, take a third base, maybe even double Expo, take a 4th, and just hope for better trades to come.
Yeah, supply lead for Fengzi is never anything you want to see, or you never want to see that as a Protoss, especially when you're down bases. You can see JayStar is trying to take mid-right. He's even in upgrades also, so he doesn't even have that going for him. I guess the one saving grace for him is I don't think Fengzi has Hive yet, but once that kicks in, it's pretty much going to be lights out unless you already have all your bases stabilized, which JayStar doesn't really have right now. I mean, he's got a big army. He does. Problem is there's not a lot of AoE in it. I realize he's got Maelstrom and 2 Templars, but, I mean, this is almost a max army. You need more than 2 Storms.
Yeah, 2 Templars really isn't much. Looks like a 3rd one just rallying out now. We do have observers, though, does JayStar, so, you know, we should be able to... Oh, nice Maelstrom pick up there, getting a small group of Hydralisks. At least we can see lurkers now. The 3rd base should be online. Probe transfer should be happening here shortly, and I mean, at least JayStar's doing what he's got to do to get to the next stage of this game.
Yep, he does have his 3rd base up right now. It's going to be a 3rd gas also, and he's taking kind of a far base, so if he can stabilize that base and then take bottom right 4th base, I mean, he'll still be in a decent position. Issue for me, though, is probe count is still exceptionally low at 42. That's a good Storm, but not going to be able to push any farther. Yeah,
that was a nice snipe on both of those observers from Fengzi. Ooh, lurkers not quite in position. JayStar getting a few easy pickoffs onto these lurkers and looking to barrel forward a little bit here. Ooh, Zealot's just disappearing, though, as all these lurkers and Hydras continuing to rain down damage on the Protoss army.
Well, this is a lot of goons, and there is Storm support behind it, so they can pack a punch, but there's no Zealot support with the rest, and now the massive Hydra flank in the back. This is going to be the sandwich of the year, as Zero said a long time ago in the DeWalt True Touch series, and that's going to be it for JayStar. Fengzi's going to take him down.
Wow, Fengzi taking a very close series there, 2-1. That was incredible play from both these players, man. What a treat that entire series was. I really thought for a second there, as soon as the pylon went down, he was utilizing that battery at the natural so well, and then even after that, once the game started to transition to Hydra versus that wall off, it was just razor thin JayStar holding his natural and getting to the next stage of this game, but Fengzi ultimately coming out the victor there. Very incredible play there from each of our players, and that means Fengzi going to move on to face the big old BusTerran here, in the next series of lower quarterfinals. So, man, we've seen some pretty incredible games here today.
Yeah, and that's going to be an exciting matchup, and of course the John Hoon Miku series is going to be equally exciting. And then we're going to have our first ZVZ in quite a long time. We've got JayStar versus DuGu facing off in the winners bracket final. So we've got a guaranteed Zerg into the grand finals, which I know you're happy to see.
Yeah,
but yeah, I actually can't believe Fengzi won that game. Remember his Lings didn't rally? You remember that?
I know. I
How
thought
did
it was
that
game
happen?
over right there, honestly. And then he still ends up coming out on top. So just phenomenal play, really kind of scrapping back into that game. And yeah, that was just a fun one to see. So yeah, like you said, ZVZ upper bracket finals. We will be commentating that next time. Jeanhoon versus Mihu as well. Kind of our favorites match before this whole bracket started playing itself out. And then obviously Fengzi versus the BusTerran. So big names, still threatening their way through this bracket. Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty incredible, match or pretty incredible bracket still from each of these players. So I'm really looking forward to that next time. But before we go, we definitely would like to thank y'all for tuning in here, watching our commentary, and watching these incredible Chinese players battle it out for our enjoyment here. I would once again like to thank OptiMonk for sponsoring this season, BSL 15 season of these matches. OptiMonk making this all possible for our viewing experience here. And we would also like to thank our Patreons, those who are donating to this and next season of the BSL. At the Bombastic General level, at $100 a month, we have Star Lover. At the Bombastic Colonel level, $50 a month, we have Anthony Chen, Martin Harzmar, Striker, and Zero Sum. At the Major Plus level, $30 a month, we have Robert Groot, Lizardo 86, Cause, and Tupacalypse. Thank you all for your donations. At Major level, $20 a month, we have Nicholas Schuer, Christian Eddington, LML, Ling Pump, Nientech, and Quark. So thank you all so much for your donations. They go so far in this community to allow us to continue playing and commentating and watching our favorite game. So those of you who can spare it and would like to help donate and secure this next season of BSL 16, head on over to the Patreon or reach out to Zero, and even $2 really goes so far in this series. Also, another thing to mention is for BSL 16, we have yet to find a main sponsor. So for those of you out there who are interested in potentially sponsoring the entire next season of BSL, please reach out to Zero. And with that, I am Machine. I want to thank you all for tuning in, for watching us cast and hanging out with us. I'd like to thank my wonderful co-commentator, Captain America himself, Mr. Nyokin. Thanks for sitting in here with me, bud, and giving me some insight into these games.
Yeah, it was fun. Games were exciting, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow and finding out which one of Jeanhoon or me is going to be eliminated, man. The two big names, one of them's got to go.
One of them's got to go, man. I gotta say, I might be cheering for Jeanhoon in that one. I think he can do it. I really want to see a late game PVT between those two titans. That's gonna definitely be a fun one, man.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm secretly rooting for Jeanhoon also.
Oh, okay,
So,
we better
don't
not
tell
let him-
anybody.
Don't tell anyone.
A Terran rooting for a Protoss. Are we living on Earth right now? Where are we?
Don't let Artosis know.
Yeah,
He'll never be
Artosis
able to
might unfriend me.
He might, man. He'll never look at you in the eye again. Oh boy. Well, thanks again, everyone. Also, thank you so much to Zero for making this all happen, pressing the buttons, flipping the dials, and making BSL continue to grow bigger and better with every single series. So really appreciate you guys. But that's it for today, folks. Make sure to tune in for tomorrow morning. We're going to be finishing out the Asia Championships bracket. So once again, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.